Hi everyone and welcome to Draft Archetype Skeletons stream. Today we're going to be talking about the deck skeletons for the new upcoming set Brothers War. And we have a pretty good crew assembled. That does include Sander Kerstens, aka SL Kerstens, Dutch streamer, limited aficionado, Tajoordan, aka Benji, American streamer, limited aficionado, mono red person, young red dragon proponent, and JasonILTG, the trainer of the World Championship drafters.
That's a gross exaggeration, but sure.
Yeah, it's a gross exaggeration, but in our private chats, we do call him the Kingmaker.
Storybook Brawl Master as well.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
How did that go, Jason? Quick.
I qualified for Worlds.
Yeah, you're going to the
Nice.
finals, right?
Nice.
I am.
Wow, that's sick. Congrats. I had no clue.
I
That
saw a
game looks
screenshot
pretty
on Twitter
exciting,
someone
to
else
be fair.
posted and you were on top.
Oh, I finished first on day one, but then finished like 7th in the top 8. So, like, you know.
Okay, but he's still qualified. That doesn't matter. The Worlds are the new open chapter, and that's how we're going to look at it. Okay, so now we know all the team. What we're going to do is, I need to move to the presentation. I have a laser pointer, which gives me some amount of power. Did you move that earlier? No, that was okay. I moved that earlier. Okay, so the ultimate goal of the stream is to show you the skeletons we built and discuss them. But trust me, it's all about the journey, not about destination in case of our skeleton crew streams. We're going to loosely chat about the new upcoming formats, speculate about something, try to find those better and less better hidden synergies between the cards and try to speculate, making a set review that is not focusing on individual card power, but that is focusing on synergies. Because in the end, we build the skeletons and we try to make the decks, but the main point of that exercise is to basically try to figure out where are the synergies lying in this format and which synergies are going to be better, which synergies are going to be not so great. But for the sake of making the skeletons, we have some rules. We want to build a semi-realistic limited decks in each color combination. They will have 0 to 2 rares or mythics without duplicates, because the chance of getting duplicate rares is pretty low, unless you're Florida men's opponents, and then you have, of course, a bunch of them. We'll have like 0 to 8 uncommons without duplicates, because uncommons are, I think, the most important driving force behind decent decks in the recent years. The format design is very much uncommon-centric when it comes to limited. And we'll fill it up with commons when we have a couple of duplicated ones, and most of them singleton, and add some non-basics and build decks like that. And the goal is to sort of build what we think might be a good deck, or to build something that we think Wizards wanted us to build. So basically how they designed the color combination and what synergies they hidden in there. The question if those synergies are good and if those skeletons are good is open, because without playing pretty hard, as my favorite physicist Niels Bohr said, predicting is very hard, especially when it comes to the future, and that's the another theme of this stream. We will be wrong, possibly many times, but hopefully we will also open your heads to particular sets of synergies. Do we agree with that kind of view of this stream, guys?
Yep.
Yes.
Imagine actually making archetype skeletons.
Nah, that would be too much.
When it comes to takes, we'll go quantity over quality. We'll probably hit a couple of times.
Do we have a record of like what our worst take was?
I think that the important part of us, the important part of having 4 people is that we can have opposing takes, which means we're always right.
Yep.
If one says that the card is good, the other says it's bad, we're right.
Did Smash to Dust turn out to be a main deckable card?
According to World's competitor Carl Sarup, yes.
Yes.
Ah, well, and we know that Carl was the magus of limited among the World Championship teams. I also heard that being said. So there you go. I think.
Oh yeah, and I give that my support as well. I 100% agree with Smash the Dust. Fine main deckable card in scrappy pod drafts.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Pod drafts are different, and then weird things happen in pod drafts. But okay, before we go to the actual cards, just a couple of words about the booster contents. I think, Sander, that you assembled this. You want to take that one?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, they managed to write it down differently in the same article. So this is literally a screenshot from their article. On the top, it says 10 non-foil comments unless one is replaced by traditional foil. And then below that, they say there are 9 comments and there's 1 land that might be replaced by a foil. So that's interesting. But I think the big takeaway is that there's a retro artifact in every pack. And that's important, I think, for us limited players, knowing that is a thing. And if you move on to the next slide, there's a little bit more detail on that. So there are 63 retro artifacts in total. 18 of those are uncommons. There are no common variants. 30 are rares and 15 are mythic rares. And how that retro artifact slot is roughly divided is that 66% of the time it will be an uncommon, 27% of the time a rare, and 7% of the time a mythic rare. And if you then calculate the expected number of a specific card that you see, or the total number of that type of card you see opened at a 8-player draft table, it looks a bit like the table below. So what you can see is that you can expect an uncommon retro artifact, a specific one, to roughly show up equally as a regular uncommon. So when building skeletons or when considering these uncommons, expect them to show up as many times as a regular uncommon. So yeah, it would be wise to treat them as such as well. Rare and mythics, the deviation is a little bit larger, especially on the rare slot. You can see that you expect a rare retro artifact, like 2/3 of the time you expect a regular rare artifact. So that's quite a steep difference. But outside of that, pretty normal distribution, I would say, pretty comparable to the regular cards.
Okay, and then from what I understand, those numbers on the left are numbers of a particular card per pod, is it?
Yeah,
and
so
the number of all those cards per pod,
Yeah, so you expect to see about
and I think
16 uncommon
where did you get
retro...
the 66, 27, 7% split? Is it based on Strixhaven Mystical Archive, or is it based on something?
It's in the same article that I took the screenshot from on the previous slide.
Wow, so WotC actually gave us booster anatomy, albeit with mistakes. That's something shocking, but I'll take it.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I think that the important part is that there's several of quite promising looking artifacts for some archetypes in the archive on uncommon level. I think
expect to see them, right? Yeah, that's the messaging.
Exactly. So I think that is it Well of Ichor, the one that you play, you draw a card, and when it dies, you draw a card.
Yep. Yeah.
Or Ichor Wellspring.
Ichor Wellspring. Yeah. To be fair, you expect to see one per draft, but only in the sense that, like, you expect that one will be opened. And for a lot of these, since they're colorless, like a lot of them, everyone will want. So it's slightly different from like Strixhaven Mystical Archives, where, like, for example, for Strixhaven, nobody wanted the card Divine Gambit, even though they should have wanted it. And so, like, you could in your white decks, you could very consistently get the card Divine Gambit as like a one-of removal spell, which was great. You're probably not going to see anything like that here with the retro artifacts because, like, they're all colorless. So, and they don't most of them are just as good in any kind of deck. There's some exceptions, definitely. Like, I think there's a couple that benefit white decks a bit more. but we can get to that later.
Yeah, no. For instance, I thought that Ichor Wellspring is going to be pretty decent in a sacrifice themed deck because you can sacrifice artifacts to draw a card, and then you draw another card, and then you already drew a card. So it basically you can turn it into like a couple of mana, draw 3 cards or something. But okay, yeah, this is important to remember that you will see those uncommon, at least retro artifacts.
Yeah,
frequently
they are
enough
not. Yeah, they are not a. How do you say that? A rare occurrence or a shenanigan or something. They are a serious part of this format, I would say.
Right. So just a brief picture of the removal, and I put up whatever removal I found in my analysis. Probably going to write an article on that, but that's a different story. But the unconditional removal at reasonable rarity, I found these 5 cards as being the pretty much it. We have Static Net, which is sort of Oblivion Ring. It looks pretty powerful. It makes a Power Stone, so even if it's blown out, it leaves something behind. You get 2 life out of it, so that's fine. Prison Sentence, same situation. It scries 2 when it's ETB, so you at least will get something out of it, even if it's blown out. Weakstone Subjugation. This one is so cheap that hopefully the price of it is just going to be enough to make it playable. However, all 3 of those, I'm pretty sure, will be stressful to play because Disenchant is going to be probably main deckable in this format. And especially when you're going to play like one of those decks that have colored cards and not many artifacts, and you play enchantment-based removal, that enchantment-based removal is going to be a lightning rod from any kind of disenchant effects, and it's a bit sad. I think that they could have instead of reprinting disenchant. I know it's flavorsome for the Dominaria, but instead of reprinting disenchant, they could have put something that only destroys artifact.
They did in red.
Another problem. Another problem in with these removal spells is I think the blue bounce spell is actually quite playable, so that doesn't help that thing certainly.
Yeah. Oh, we've already gotten to that stage when Jason is defending the bounce spell of the current format. Normally that appears on the big picture blue.
But
also, yeah, static net. You have to keep in mind when you exile a prototype, it comes back in its bigger version. So be careful about that.
That's true. Oh, also for the 2 auras, obviously, red and black both have pretty deep sacrifice themes. So be careful of that as well.
Yeah, I think that's way more of a problem for these things than the fact that you open like 2 disenchants at the table. I think the fact that like sacrifice is a big part of the format is way worse for these 3.
Yeah, like Disenchant is already going to be a good card.
Indeed, it's going to kill somebody in your deck, something in your deck, no matter what. But
to be fair, the sacrifice doesn't affect the O-ring. So
it doesn't affect the O-ring. But also, I mean, when you see the next removals, Power Stone Fracture, that's actually, it's terrible when you put the rest on someone's creature and they just sack it to kill your thing scot-free. So that's not good. I think that the Power Stone Fracture looks pretty dope because being able to sacrifice a Power Stone, especially in a deck that doesn't ramp super aggressively and has just some occasional Power Stones lying around, that's going to be pretty powerful. And also it can have some additional sacrifice synergies when you build around it. So that's fine. And Overwhelming Response also looks really good to me because it seems to be quite easy to put creatures in your graveyard in general. So it will be frequently 4 or 3 or even 2.
Yeah, you don't even need to try really to make it 4. No. Usually something's traded off by.
No. You're just like, by the way. I mean, there's so much self-mill that is actually on decent cards. I think
there's a whole cycle.
If it would miss the first line of text, I think it would still be a C+ card.
5 mana is a lot.
Like instant speeds for 1 black is
Final
good,
Death in Theros Beyond Death. Like that was like the grindiest of grindy formats, and even that was like not busted.
But it was grindy, but it didn't have those 9/9 monsters that need to be killed on sight because you can't survive one.
It had escape, right? It had like
It was very important. And this has Unearthed though. There's definitely some synergy.
Like regardless, this card is very good.
There's no discussion there. This is probably the best black common. Yeah, there you go. So there's a couple of sweepers, but not much. I don't think that sweepers are going to be backbreaking in this format because look at them. Brotherhood's End. 3 mana, deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less.
Stones.
Yeah, that's a commander card.
Yeah, cleans the Power Stones, but it's not like a sweeper that will deal with your bigger board.
Yeah.
It's more like maybe constructed plant for some aggro matchups.
Oh yeah, this is very popular on Twitter.
Oh, it kills Soul Rings.
Oh, is that the reason why it's popular on Twitter?
I think so.
It's an EDH card, I think. Yeah.
Ooh. Also, Benji, can you maybe try to amp your mic because you're much quieter than us, and not only because we have powerful voices, but also because of your microphone.
No, good looking out. Let's see.
Jix's command, well, this is multi-purpose spell, but it does have one mode, destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Again, this is good against go-wide strategies. I don't think it's going to be particularly important as an option, but you might think about it when you are playing against a black deck, if you are particularly go-wide. Involuntary cooldown, I think that this is probably going to be the most powerful sweeper of the format, which says a lot about sweepers in this format. But against some decks, you tap 2 artifact creatures and you tap 2 normal creatures. You tap them out for 2 whole turn cycles, and that's going to be enough to swing the game in your favor if you play, especially with the.
I did not notice that's an and or. I thought it was just or. Oh.
No, it's.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I just didn't read it correctly the first time. That I didn't realize it could tap 4 things. I was like, why is this a sweeper?
I assume it. That's how I understand it works.
Oh, I didn't see that either.
Is it 4 in total?
Wow.
Wait, is it 4? Wait, no, I think it's 2.
No, it's 2.
Okay.
It's 2 in total, and it can be both types.
Okay, yeah, okay, I think y'all are right. It's just 2.
Okay,
that's good. With 4, it would have been brilliant. But okay, then it's a sweeper of 2.
I like the brackets. Chuck did the mathematical addition of brackets. It's now all clear to me.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I read it correctly the first time. The second time when you read it,
yes,
when
you were saying
it was a sweeper.
I think that should be the official format of cards like that. That's how. If that would be how it's written, I would have no problems understanding it.
Exactly.
Okay, so involuntary cooldown, we can cool down on it in terms of how powerful it is.
I don't like it that much. Like Ethan and Ben were like super high on it in their set review. I don't know, man.
It is a lot of tempo. It
is, but it's 4 mana sorcery speed. It's not like you can like supply people with.
Yeah, but it's your top end basically. No, in some decks.
Yeah,
I'm super happy to jam it in my as a top end in my prowess deck, for example.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it gives me one turn when I can swing and one turn when I can swing by playing multiple spells because I already tapped those creatures earlier.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
I think it gives you 3 turns of attacking before the things untap. You lock them down. They have 2 counters. You attack. Next turn you untap. They have one counter. You attack. Next turn they still don't untap. They have 0 counters. You attack. So you get 3 attacks before the things.
That's good.
Untap.
That's good.
Especially when you have some first tricks or whatever. And there's Fate from History, cuteness factor 10, power level remains to be seen. But each player who controls an artifact or enchantment creates a 2/2 green bear creature token and then destroy all artifacts and enchantments. And I probably see it in some sort of deck that has very few artifacts, but maybe a couple of them that you want to blow out. Like, an occasional Ichor Wellspring again that you have on board. You play this one, you get your bear, you draw a card, and they get wrecked because you destroy like 5 power stones and then 2 big creatures of theirs. So I think that this card, I don't know if it's going to be main deckable, but definitely sideboardable.
I think this is pretty good, right?
I think if you're like a green beatdown deck that isn't really doing artifact stuff, that's where like you can play this and it'll be like main deck this and it'll be great. Like one of the problems is just like, when are you going to be in a deck that's not doing artifact stuff? And I think there could be some like green beatdown deck that's not really doing artifact stuff, like green based. White also has a bit of stuff that doesn't involve artifacts, but it's awkward that White's tokens are 1/1 artifacts. But
Yep.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
And probably you get also something like I can imagine myself like a red black sacrifice decks that don't rely too much on artifacts, and maybe they have Ragers which you don't mind losing to get yourself a in the graveyard and get a bear instead of them. So but okay, so there's not much in terms.
One sweeper missing that I really like.
No. We don't talk about the Krug land, the fall of Krug.
The Crucial Realization. Okay. But the black cards I really like.
Yeah, there's the -1/-1 to all.
Yeah, I really like that one. It's
or draw 2.
Yeah,
draw 2.
I think that's super good.
Yeah, we're gonna chat about it in a second because I'm gonna mention this and the fall of Krug, the so-called sweepers that give -1/-1 when we do the stats of the creatures. I mean, they are sweepers, and actually, it's probably the best format for that sweeper in many sets. So,
also, if you have the red enchantment, Fall of Krug now deals 2 damage to each creature. There's a red rare enchantment.
Stop! I know. Oh no, that's too much for me to handle. Right. So, aside from solid removal, there is also damage removal, and as always, I gave the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In every set, you will find something that deals 1, something that deals 2, something that deals 3, something that deals 4, something that deals 5. In terms of 1 damage, you kill 29% of commons, have 1 toughness, 26% uncommons have 1 toughness, and only 13% of rares have 1 toughness and mythics. This is actually, as you're going to see in the next slide, quite some chunk. There's not many creatures that will do it. So there is the Gnawing Vermin, a 1/1 that when it dies gives -1/-1 to something. There is also the red-green Signpost uncommon, the Arbalist, which is a 2/2, and when it ETBs, one of the modes you can choose is deal 1 damage to something. And as Sander mentioned, there is one spell that deals that gives -1/-1 to each creature as a mode. Obviously, you can use that post-combat, and then you can do much more sick stuff with it. And the nice part of it is that it comes together with a draw 2, deal 2 damage to you spell. So that's quite a good choice of skills, because some occasions you will be quite stabilized and you want to get more fuel when you're ahead. And in some situations, you want to swipe the board of small creatures and survive longer. And there's also the 6-mana land destruction spell that deals 1 to every creature that opponents control.
3 to the face.
And 3 to the face. Or 4 if you have the enchantment that increases the amount of damage.
Exactly.
I don't think that is going to be very important a card, and I honestly hope I will never have to play it. But it's there, so let's mention it. In terms of 2 damage, it is a standard that it's between 45 and 55% of the creatures that you kill with a 2 damage spell. And a good example of a 2 damage spell in this format is Disfigure. 1 mana instant, target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Now keep in mind, of course, that this is way better than Shock in terms of dealing with creatures, because you can play it on a 4/4 that is blocked by a 3/3 and kill it like that. So it's got multiple uses. But cleanly, it kills 48% of common creatures and 43 of uncommons, 32 of rare and mythics. 3 damage. Example spell is the Excavation Explosion. That one looks pretty good. 3 mana, sorcery. It deals 3 damage to any target. And you also create a tapped Power Stone as a part of the spell's resolution. Kills 73% of commons, 63% uncommons, 51% of rares and mythics. 4 damage, we have Obliterating Bolt. So sort of strictly better. What was it? Lightning. How was the spell called that deals 4 damage?
Lava Coil.
Lava Coil, yeah. Strictly better Lava Coil. That's the one. Because it can deal with Planeswalkers. Are there actually any Planeswalkers in this set except for Urza?
There's
there's Saheeli.
Yeah,
there's Saheeli. So hopefully you won't have to deal with the Planeswalkers much, but it has that option. Also kills around 90% commons, around 80% uncommons, around 70% rares. So pretty decent range for a 2-mana spell. That looks to me like absolutely premium uncommon for in terms of removal, because for 2 mana it's almost unconditional, and it deals with the things permanently, so it can also kill those unearthed creatures, and you won't have to see them again. And there is a 5 damage spell on Unleash Shell. I know some people like that pun, but for me it's a bit too forced, too much on the nose.
Wait, what's the pun?
Yeah, wait, I missed it too.
Unleash Hell.
Oh.
Unleash Shell.
Oh, okay.
Huh, I didn't think of that.
So it's not like Mario Kart related.
You're not sending a blue shell?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I missed it.
I thought it was too much on the nose, but it turns out that over some people it just lobs. Probably they were not in the right range for the artillery. For that particular artillery, but since I'm the pun specialist, a self-proclaimed pun specialist, mind you, because no one understands them apart from me.
I am disappointed in myself for not getting that. I aspire to be more of a pun specialist as well.
You can do it one day. One day you can become a pun specialist. I'm actually providing coaching, so 20 quid for an hour, and I can introduce you to the most amazing puns from British tabloid headlines. I think my favorite one, it was a football game. Celtic Glasgow, a team, lost 3-0. A guy whose nickname Cali scored 3 goals against them. And the title of the headline was, Super Cali was delicious, Celtic were atrocious. And I think that probably was the best pun in the history of newspapers. And this man should retire and live in glory and just be shown on TV as the guy who came up with that pun.
It is good.
But let's go back to this statistics of damage. 96% of creatures, so this is as close as you can get to unconditional removal. Around 90% of uncommons and rares, and it also deals 2 damage to the face, is an instant, so that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good.
Does this take into account the large side of the?
It does take into account the large side of the prototype.
Okay.
Oh yeah, how are you counting those? Are you counting those like double counting?
I counted the large. I couldn't have been bothered to manually adjust it because you can't get from Scryfall the size of them without manually correcting, because they only see the one power that is printed on the card. So I said no.
So this is
I'm sure that they will be played 85 to 90% of the time on the smaller side, but I don't care. I'm not going to do extra work. It's not worth it. Everyone buys those numbers without verifying, so that's fine.
But Sierkovitz, what if I have Corrupt in my mono black deck and I deal 6 damage to target creature and gain 6 life?
I'm pretty sure you're pretty much favored to win that match.
But how many creatures can I kill?
Only one.
More than 96, but fewer than 100%. I do not know that, actually. I didn't check it because it is a fringe situation that will only happen in my mono black skeleton. Wait for that.
And usually you're going face anyways. With Corrupt.
Yes, indeed. I played it in Standard. Oh, that was such a good deck. Just survive till turn 6 and then Corrupt. Bye.
Was that 7th edition limited too?
There was no. I played it literally and constructed as a mono black control. But yeah, it was that. No, it was the original printing of Corrupt. I don't even remember when it was.
Original Corrupt was Urza Saga.
Yeah, so that must have been Saga Standard. After all the good things were banned, that's what was left in the metagame. So comparing Brothers War to other sets, it does have quite a lot of 1 toughness creatures. So when you look at it, 29% of the creatures have 1 toughness. That is more than everything except for Streets of New Capenna. But keep in mind, in Streets of New Capenna, a lot of it was because they had shield counters, so the toughness was not that much relevant. While here we have a normal set that has, you know, almost twice as much, more than twice as much 1 toughness creatures as Kaldheim did, and good 50% more than for example Strixhaven, or yeah, still like a quarter more than Dominaria United or Crimson Vow. So yeah, Kaldheim was very weird in that aspect. It had also like a lot of 2 toughness creatures. On the other hand, this quickly becomes a sort of medium to low when you look at the things that are killed by 2 damage, which means that there's not so many creatures with 2 toughness, which sort of limits the utility, the full utility of this figure, because there's just like, you know, 19% of the creatures will have toughness 2. But if you add some of those prototypes and you add the fact that actually this figure is good on free toughness creatures in combat, it will still probably be good. But I think that shock in this format might have been actually quite dodgy. And you also have like lower end of creatures with 3 toughness, so it means that there is a bit more on the upper side, and there seems to be plenty of creatures that have 4 toughness, because if you look at 4 damage, it becomes very much the average number. So if here it was slightly low and here it's very much an average, even on the upper part of the average, it means there's plenty of 4 toughness creatures. And I think that Wizards in the recent years, you know, when in set design, they always saying that we are sort of adjusting those little knobs on our design space. I think that 1 toughness, 2 toughness, and 3 toughness creatures is where most of the regulation of how the format plays is taking place. Because you can see here, almost all the sets become even at common level at least. And there are big differences at 1 toughness, 2 toughness, 3 toughness creatures. So that's where you see their space where they can introduce variants into how sets play out. Oh yeah, there's still a couple of conditional removal spells. Disenchant kills around 1/3 of common creatures and uncommon creatures and around 40% of the rares and mythics. Obviously, it has other utility as, for example, getting rid of that enchantment-based removal and dealing with a plethora of non-creature artifacts that are there through the Mystical Archive, which I think we should call just Mystical Archive Artifact Edition, because there's no point of changing the name. So Disenchant will have further utility than just killing creatures. There's also Shoot Down, which is the same as Disenchant, but it also deals with flyers. So it kills an additional 10 percentage points of creatures at common and at rare. So deals with half of the rares and mythics. Pretty decent. Problem is it costs 4 mana and it's a sorcery. So I don't know exactly if we're going to be happy playing it in the main deck. And there's Go for the Throat, which deals with the opposite side. So the non-artifact creatures deals with around 2/3 of the creatures. And yeah.
I'm very curious how 62% plus 40% works out here. For
I can tell you exactly how it works. It's probably that when I counted artifact creatures, I counted the bloody melded Mishra, who is always there in Scryfall, and I don't know why it's even a card if it's not a card.
I see.
And it counted this as an artifact creature, and I normally excluded it from other calculations because I remembered that it's an artifact creature. There you go. So that is, I'm pretty sure, the reason for that.
Are we main decking Shoot Down?
I don't know. Are we? I think I will at least.
Are we?
I think I will start as possibly.
I think so.
I put 1 in a skeleton.
I would.
Yeah,
I like 1.
I
don't think it's
1.
2. Like, I don't think it's 2 at 4 mana.
No.
I think I might play 2 if I'm playing a green deck that doesn't deal with flyers very well.
Okay, better or worse than Fade?
Then which?
Help me.
Yeah,
Fade to Antiquity.
Oh yeah, worse than Fade. Worse than Fade.
Okay.
Yeah.
My instinct is that this hits more like a larger fraction of things that you care about. but then fade, but also 4 versus 3.
Wait a second. I can
Is
tell you
it
what
better or
Fade
worse
was hitting
than
like upwards to 65% of creatures.
So yeah, no, I know Fade like was insane in terms of like how many things it hits, but I think notably like in Neon Dynasty there were some creatures that you cared about that weren't artifacts or enchantments. Not that common, but occasionally like a Naomi or like a mythic dragon. Whereas this, when you get flyers as well, which is one thing that might like not have artifacts, and I think like a lot of the rares a lot of the bomb rares are artifacts. It feels like it might actually hit more things that you really care about hitting. I don't know how it'll play out though.
I think that all is true, but you also I think you will have more decks where you will just have no targets that are actually worth anything.
Doesn't it hit all of the big like prototypes?
I mean, yeah,
it does. But,
all the
but some decks will just not play them. That's my view of that.
Mm-hmm.
How does
it's probably bad against green specifically. Like I was thinking white is aggressive, but also white has a bunch of flyers.
And I'm thinking green wants to play prototypes, but I could be wrong there. I had trouble understanding what green was doing.
I think you can build a low to the ground stompy like giant growth green deck. So,
yeah. And then the only artifacts you're playing are the ones you get out of the grave for 1 turn, hit for 6, and they're gone. So I think the sorcery is also hurting a little bit. Yeah. Hey, what do you think of Race to the Ground then? How does that compare to these two? So that's 2 in a red, sorcery speed, can be countered, destroy artifacts, and in some cases it draws a card. You can fire it off at a Power Stone and then it draws you a card.
Cycling on a Power Stone is funny.
I hadn't thought of that.
It works. I mean, people are telling me that a Power Stone is like almost a card, so killing it and then drawing a card myself feels like a 2-for-1 then, right?
And that's exactly why I don't think that Power Stone is a card.
No, me neither. But that's
almost is like maybe 60% of a card, maybe 40.
But that kills the same amount of creatures as Disenchant.
Yeah.
But so. I think it's. I think I like it worse than Disenchant and Shoot Down. It's like really close to Shoot Down for me. Like,
yeah,
both of them are sorcery speed, right?
Yeah.
But like, I think I like the +1 mana on Shoot Down to be able to kill a flyer that's not an artifact, or to kill like a removal, or like and exiling matters because of Unearth. And I think like killing a Power Stone and drawing a card just won't come up enough for.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it is a good safety mode. I mean, it's like when you're really playing a deck that doesn't have anything, they will just by accident get that Power Stone because they are tucked into so many cards that in the end they will make one and you will just be able to kill it.
Sure.
But I'd rather kill the enchantment.
You can also do like the Tolarian Geyser thing, like kill your token, draw a card.
Exactly.
Like your 1/1 token.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Oh, and there's the other side of the conditional removal. The conditional removal that scales with the game that I can't really put numbers on. Jason, in case you wondered, Corrupt is in here.
Look at that.
I don't know. I mean, Corrupt, I'm pretty sure it's going to be playable in decks that are more than 50% black. So if you, I think 10-7, you'll probably be happy playing Corrupt.
Also, Elsewhere Flask. We'll get to that in a bit, but Elsewhere Flask exists in the Mystical Archives as an uncommon that
I think
helps with these.
Chromatic Lantern too? Oh, no.
Chromatic Lantern
mana color. Yeah, it doesn't do that.
That just gives the lands like the tap add a mana of any color ability. Doesn't make them basic land types.
Good call.
Yeah, and Corrupt removes a lot of things because it removes the player.
Yes. I'm pretty sure Lay Down Arms is playable in any deck that has at least 50% of white because you will kill early drops easily, and if you can't, then you will wait with it and kill something larger later. The fact that it deals with mana value, I think, is okay. For 5 planes on the board, you will be able to kill almost everything.
It doesn't get like the really big stuff though, which is unfortunate. Like
you have disenchants for that.
Yeah.
And then there's Bushwhack, which I think is a phenomenal card. I love it. It does exactly what I want a card to do. Make sure that your mana is okay in the early game, and then can kill something in the later game. I mean, what's not to like in there?
Well, I don't like that it doesn't give your creatures +1/+0 in haste for a card named Bushwhack.
Well, bushes are not very well known for speed.
I mean, Goblin Bushwhacker though, and
I got
the other one.
Reckless Bushwhacker as well.
Yeah.
And Epic Confrontation, I think, is going to be a very interesting card for my red-green prowess builds. There we go. So that's, I think, the picture of the removal. This is the big picture general. As you can see,
this is the empty slide.
Many hours on designing this slide.
Yep.
This is where you talk about Gruul spells again, right? Your favorite archetype from way back.
I do like Gruul spells, yes, and I'm going to build many Gruul spells decks in this format. I think it's a valid archetype. That's
the blankness of that slide just represents how much we think, how important we think mono white will be to the format.
You think so? Oh, well, it definitely makes the lay down arms much better if you're playing mono white.
Airlift Chaplain as well.
When we come back, actually, when we talk about this this topic. Monocolored decks, I think that they're going to be a thing. I'm not saying that they're going to be like half of the metagame, but I'm pretty sure 5% of our decks will be monocolored. That's my speculation before that.
And I'll probably be like 25%.
Why is Airlift Chaplain here? Shouldn't that be lay down arms?
So I added lay down arms in the version of the deck that Sierko does not have open. The problem is that if you full screen it, it doesn't refresh anymore. Which is a bad feature. But Airlift Chaplain is a card that becomes better in mono white, I feel, because you'll have more hits.
Yeah,
that's true. And you can play 15 lands because you play Airlift Chaplains.
Yes, I think if you go monocolored, you can play 15 lands in most of the decks.
Benji is like, ooh, 15 lands. Can I trim it to 14?
Yeah, but the reason I think...
A couple baubles.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of bubbles, and boom, you're in the 14 land territory, and you go.
Honestly, for sure. I built a 15 land red black deck. We can have a look at later. I think it's super solid. But I think the reason we'll be building quite some mono color decks, or like close to mono colored, is because so many spells are colorless. I can really see that we're playing like okay, that's a good point then, because I really think like it will be very normal to have like 8-9 colorless spells in some of the decks. So
like these are definitely good payoffs, because like Blanchwood Armor can be absolutely atrocious when you play it with 6 forests on the board.
Yeah, especially on the 3/1 with Ward 2.
I'm most skeptical of the red one. It's like...
Yeah, I'm skeptical because you probably don't want to have 4 lands in that type of deck.
Well,
yeah.
No, you probably do. You probably do want to have 4 lands. It's just like, you know... It's just a bit awkward where if you do miss on the 4th land, where like you probably want your 4th, but you don't like care enough about your 4th land. That
but you also want to maybe play a couple of those excavation digs, whatever they are called, the surveilling lands.
Oh yeah, I like that card.
Maybe. I mean, like in your mono red deck though, like probably not in mono red, but yeah.
Well, at least you want to give yourself a fighting chance if you run out of steam.
Sure. Yeah, like the red one is definitely just like the most like, if you get there, it's good, but if you don't, it's terrible.
Yes, exactly.
So
exactly.
It's like it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's move on from the monocolor decks. I think that they are going. So what? Well, of course, Benji will force them. That's for sure. Sander, you built some monocolor decks.
Yeah, I think they're a real thing.
The mono blue, yeah.
Yeah. I think mono blue is very real. I think mono black is pretty real. I think mono green is also probably real.
Yeah, mono green Stompy. I saw some skeletons of that.
I'm a bit skeptical of mono white and mono red, but
mono red prowess is still a possibility.
Maybe.
I think every combination of prowess will be there.
That it does. That it does.
I think I'm highest on mono black for a monocolor deck, but yeah, I think that mono white will be tough.
Okay, I can take this slide.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So speaking of monocolor decks, like, so the recent format that you might think of when you hear monocolor is Eldraine, of course, and like so there's basically two reasons why Eldraine was monocolored, or maybe three. The kind of fake reason I think is adamant, like, you know, being able to adamant your things more consistently with when you're monocolor was pretty good. But like, you know, you could just play like a deeper, be deeper in one color and not be like truly monocolor. The real payoffs for being monocolor in Eldraine were the fact that there was the cycle of like quadruple hybrid pip uncommons that, like, if you were monocolor, you could just play a bunch of them. Like if you're mono blue, you could play all the ones touching blue,
all the four,
pretty easily. Yeah. Whereas if you're two colors, you only get one of them, and those were all really powerful, basically, with a couple exceptions. So there was that, and there was also the fact that there were a lot of like playable enough artifacts, like colorless artifacts. Think like Hengewalker. It was 3 mana 2/2, but it's a 3/3 if you adamant it. So in the monocolor deck, it's just a 3 mana 3/3, which is fine, right? Like or Golden Egg, just 2 mana cantrip that fixes your mana a bit, or like Jousting Dummy, 2 mana 2/1 that can pump itself a bit. Like all of these, just like cards that aren't exciting, but like help fill playables. And we see that a lot here. Like similarly, like we don't have the quadruple hybrid payoffs from monocolor as much. There is that cycle, like from the previous slide, of like, you know, things that care about number of basic land types, but that's 5 cards as opposed to 10. And also like not all of them are like require you to be monocolor or are like that much of a draw into monocolor. But yeah, so here we do still have left off. So basically, as I was saying, like we see the same thing here of a lot of like playable enough colorless cards. So the big one here is Boulder Branch Golem, I think, at common. This is just 7 mana, but like, you know, you'll have Power Stone, so more like 6 or 5 really, or like, you know, you'll be ramping to it. For a 6/5 that enters the battlefield, you gain 6 life, or life equal to its power, but so 6 life. And that's huge, right? Like think Ravenous Lindworm, Honey Mammoth, but you gain even more life. And, you know, you lose a toughness. It dies to Unleashed Shell. But it's still like a really good payoff for having Power Stones. And like it kind of is green because, you know, of its prototype, but realistically it's just colorless. No. Like you much prefer to cast the full power side anyways. So like, you know, the green, it does get a bit better in green. But then like I highlighted some other artifacts that come in here. There's like 5 mana 4/4. When it leaves the battlefield, you gain 2 life. It's like not that. It's not like the most exciting card, but like if you consider like all of the Power Stone cards at common are on 3 generally. So like you can generally curve turn 3, like play a Power Stone card, you know, like the 3/2 that makes Power Stone, or like deal 3 damage, make a Power Stone. And then on turn 4, you're playing a 4/4, which is like basically on rate, and you get a bit of value from it dying. You gain 2 life. And then there's also like Scrapwork Mutt, 2/1 that rummages. We've seen that card before as a common, like in red in Kaldheim or something. It's like fine. And Combat Courier just like cycles to draw a card, like chumps and draws a card. That's pretty nice. And the key thing about all of these is, as opposed to an Eldraine where like you were just like playing them as like fine rate, these are like slightly lower rate, but they're boosted by the fact that we have Power Stones to ramp them out. And also they're boosted a bit by the fact that if you can get that colored activation on these, like these 3 especially that I highlighted, not so much the Golem, they all have Unearth for a color. If you can like filter into that color somehow, they do actually get a lot better. They provide a lot more value. Like Courier straight up draws you another card. Scrap Mutt, like, you know, gets in a small attack and like rummages you, and then like on you, like gains you another 2 life and like smashes in for 4, right? So I think picking up like that incidental, like small amount of possible filtering in like energy refractor at common, or like a couple of the uncommon mystical archives with chromatic star and elsewhere flask, that's going to be pretty nice to have in a bunch of your decks that are looking to like, you know, fill in some playables with these. I didn't put the Rager on here, but like, yeah, that's another example.
I mentioned that one. That one was also super good.
Yeah. So I just think like there's enough colorless things to like incentivize monocolor a bit more, or like facilitate monocolor a bit more. And also there's enough like incidental like ways to use like random colored mana to incentivize. I don't know how I did on my white slides. I'm like, I don't, like, you can see the triple question mark on Warlords Elite. I don't know what white's doing necessarily. It looks kind of bad to me, but
it was the hardest for me to build those skeletons, I think. Like, I wasn't really sure what they were doing, that and green, but I think that the Warlords Elite is definitely going to be interesting, and I like that y'all are looking at the reanimate spell. What is that? Reconstruction?
Yes. I think recommission is like...
Recommission, yeah.
Probably, like, recommission and disenchant are, like, my votes for, like, top 2 white commons.
Yeah, I think recommission is... The fact that it, like, for 2 mana, returns a 3-drop with a +1/+1 counter, and you're going to be trading stuff in this format, I'm pretty sure, and you have self-mill, that makes it, like, into a pretty strong candidate for a good common.
Yeah, I'm just, like, a bit skeptical of... Like, it doesn't seem like white has that many ways to like be that aggressive, and also doesn't have that many ways to go to like beat long decks going longer. Like disenchant helps, but like it's still only trading 1 for 1. So I don't know. Maybe you can do some tempo flyers thing with and like recommission for value, but
there's the new Imperial Oath.
Oh no! What is that? 6 mana to make 4 1/1s?
Yeah, they're artifacts though. They trigger your 2/2 vigilance.
Yeah,
and 6/2 that still trades with a 2/2.
Build your own Land War Stalker. What could possibly go wrong, other than my green skeletons from the last set?
How many recommissions can you play?
I don't know, as many as I get.
Yeah,
like, just pick up more self mill.
Indeed, if you pick up 3, you play 3.
Yeah, like I think Scrap Mutt will be a like secret white card because recommissioned.
Okay, yeah. Now I see why it's what I was wondering. What is it doing there?
Yeah.
Phalanx Vanguard. I think that Phalanx Vanguard is still going to be better than. I think that, you know, what you say that white doesn't have like aggro potential, but it has probably one of the better 2-drops.
I think green has the good 2-drops. White, like, so I want to like Phalanx Vanguard, but also there's not actually a way to make an artifact on 3 that cleanly in white.
Nope. Like the red 3/2 haste prototype is the thing that I was kind of putting together in my red-white aggro decks with the Vanguard. But I totally agree that like it was tough to find artifact triggers for it.
Yeah, like on 4 you have the 3/1, like the 3/1 that comes with a 1/1, but like on 4, like probably it's like it'll just get traded with. You really, I feel like that it's a card where you really need to like trigger it on 3 for it to really shine. Like obviously 2/2 vigilance is like not bad on its own, but just like you know,
true.
It didn't.
2/2 vigilance is nothing to frown about.
What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Right. I think white looks fine as a like support color. You know, it has disenchant, recommission. Those are like powerful cards. It has like Airlift Chaplain is pretty decent card. It just like doesn't look like an amazing base. Like Tajoordan was saying, like red white. He was looking at like red white with like the 3/2 haste. Like that makes a lot of sense. Like I think you could build a red white deck and it would be fine. But I'm just like
because in red white you can also play Mutt or something, and that's also fine as a third turn drop or whatnot.
Yeah, like I'm just kind of skeptical of like white as a base color, unless Warlords Elite is a lot better than I think it is.
All right, are we ready to move to the big picture, whatever is next?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, it's blue.
Oh, yeah. This one, this is where I put.
Buckle up, y'all.
Yeah.
Wait, who did this one?
I way over designed the slide.
It's beautiful. I was dying looking at it.
I mean, someone just like needs the signature. Like, graphic design is my passion.
Yes, graphic design is not quite my passion, but I tried a bit. So basically, what I really like about blue is that all of the cards play very well together. Like there's these the almost 7 out of the 8 cards on the right here, everything except the Mightstone's animation on the bottom right. All of those are instants. Those play very well together. Even the combat courier on the bottom left, that's also kind of instant in that you can like sack it at instant speed. So you have this play pattern of what we saw in Dominar United of Essence Scatter plus Impulse. Well, here we have Scatter Ray plus Curate or Urza's Rebuff plus Stern Lesson. So you have both ways to answer your opponent's threats with counterspells and also ways to like advance your own game plan at instant speed. And then you have a couple threats you have the like Rock as a flash flyer, like kind of like the one we saw in Midnight Hunt. There was like also a 5-mana 3/3 flash flyer in Midnight Hunt that you would sometimes play because it was just a flash flyer that worked well with counterspells. But I think this one will be slightly better because it does come with a Power Stone. And then you have some instant speed interaction as well with a like 5-mana, like the owner of a permanent either puts it on top or bottom and you get a Scry 2. It's like pretty good version of that effect with the Scry 2. And I think the bounce spell will also be very good with all this instant speed stuff. Like you get to bounce something that's resolved or like bounce a token or like or bounce a pacified creature. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and especially I'm excited to bounce my Mightstone's animation in response to someone trying to remove my 4/4.
I love the animation. It looks like such a fun and well-designed card.
Yeah. Like if you imagine going like turn 3 Stern Lesson or like a different colors Power Stone card into turn 4 play Mightstone's animation. Now you have a 4/4 haste draw card, but in fact, and then later you can if they later go to remove it and you have a blue up, you can use the bounce spell to bounce the aura, and if it's creature removal, it'll just completely fizzle and you'll still have your Power Stone, and then you get to play the aura again, draw another card, get your 4/4 back.
That's a sweet interaction.
That is indeed sick.
Yeah.
I think that Mightstone animation will be depends how easy it will be to get the Stern Lessons, but if it's relatively easy to get the Stern Lessons, that can become the sort of like Stern Lesson and animation will become the sort of what's the name, the Kaldheim 3/3 draw a card guy.
Packmate.
Yeah, exactly. You basically get.
So I think it's actually more like Ecstatic Awakener, and I think it's really easy to set up with like the Ichor Wellsprings and all those random cantrip artifacts and stuff like that. But the second that like I think it was Jason said like 4/4 haste draw a card on turn 4, I was like, wow, that's Ecstatic Awakener like at home or whatever.
Yep.
Like
this is Ecstatic Awakener at home, and like it doesn't have to be Stern Lesson, like you said. It could be an Ichor Wellspring. You can even just put it on a like combat courier. Like it's not ideal. You'd like spend a full card. But it's still fine. And another important part of this package, I think, is Falahi. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Oh, that card! I was so like I read that card and it was really interesting. I like put it in and took it out because I had too many uncommons. But
Falahi Archaeologist. So it's a 2-mana 0/3 that it's like of the cycle where you mill 3 and you this one looks for a non-creature, non-land. To bring to your hand. So you either get the card or you get, if you don't want a card or you don't find a card, you get a +1/+1 counter. So it's either a 2-mana 0/3 draw a spell, which is probably a good spell, which is amazing. Like it's kind of like a Wall of Omens. Like the difference between 0/3 and 0/2, like we saw Vine Wall and Dominar United. Difference between 0/3 and 0/2 is pretty big. Like it actually starts blocking things and blanking like a 2-drop. Or it's just a 2-mana 1/4 mill 3 cards, which is also pretty great because like
Super
a 1/4
solid,
blocks pretty decently, and we saw there's a lot of like 1 toughness things in the set, right? So it like actually blocks pretty decently, and milling 3 for Unearth is great. And my final point here is that the Archaeologist, Curate, Stern Lesson, all of these things have the potential to put things in your graveyard. And, well, there's this neat common called Combat Courier, which is basically a Think Twice. You can unearth it for blue and sacrifice it to draw a card. So 3 mana to draw a card from your graveyard. And that just, like, helps you accrue incidental advantage while you're doing all this stuff you already want to do.
Yeah. And how would you like to kill in this deck? Big stuff or just...
I mean, just like Mightstone's animation, the occasional 3/3 flyer flash, and like, you know, you have some ramp with Stern Lesson and Rock, so you can play like the big prototype stuff as well. Like, I just think that this deck, the reason why I like blue is because it has like the cheap interaction and early blockers, plus like counter spells that interact favorably with like, you know, people going with both, you know. Scatter Ray can both counter a 2-drop and also counter a 7-drop. And also a bunch of like card draw, card advantage with Stern Lesson, Curate, and Combat Courier. So just like it scales very well throughout the game. It can deal with cheap stuff. It can play the long game with card advantage. It can deal with big stuff, and it has some pretty nice threats as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking at how to pair it with other colors, and I was thinking, you know, you mill yourself a bit. You have Stern Dismissals, which also discard cards from the hand. You have some of those super big artifacts in the format. You have what's the card's name? I'm thinking about pairing it with white specifically, and you know, because you mill and because you discard.
Recommission
recommission is one thing, but there's the 5-mana version of it. Repair and recharge, that 5-mana return artifact enchantment. It makes a Power Stone as a sort of like way of playing the slower game, controlling. White gives you also to your package of instant like Deadly Riposte, which I think is in that type of deck is a pretty decent card because it stops anything attacking you and gains you some life.
Yep. I mean, there's also, you can also pair it with black. Right, because like black has a bunch of stuff. It also has a 5-mana reanimation spell at
no one left behind.
Oh, that's really interesting. The blue 0/3 that like mills and gets a spell, like the 2 black removal spells, like it gives you fodder for the one that sacks and stuff. Like that seems great.
Yep.
I think Emergency Weld is also pretty sweet in this deck because it's a sorcery itself, right? So it works with the not heavy on creature. Yeah. It brings you a 1/1, which like blocks. It's also an artifact in itself. Plus, it gives you something from the graveyard. I think that's sweet.
All right,
really,
I'll
really excited for Emergency Weld.
This seems like a better blue-black, like how do you say that? Archetype than the one with the draw 2. Honestly,
yes, that draw 2 like kind of threw me for a loop trying to build a deck.
Yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of the themes that Uncommon seemed a bit light, like not like or like the red-black sack seems real, but other than that, like soldiers, it didn't seem like you could really do soldiers that well. Like you might have some incidental soldier synergies. Same with like draw 2. I don't even know.
There is
what, like,
some
red
prowess support. I like the prowess one.
I think prowess could be interesting.
Yeah,
red green is just beatdown, I think.
Yeah, but you see, because this is a theme of okay, we need to cast non-creature spells. That's quite easy in an artifact.
Yeah, and we fill our graveyard while doing it. Yeah,
I guess
that,
like
you know, weirdly the creatures with mana cost 3 or less is actually a sufficiently supported theme.
Yeah. Oh, also, you asked how you win games, and someone in chat joked, no kill, just value. But also, there, unironically, there is an uncommon that, like, it's a 5-mana blue, 4 and a blue for a 2/5 or something. And it has, like, I don't know, pay 3 mana to put a, like, card, I think, like, artifact, instant, or sorcery on the bottom of its owner's deck, like, from the graveyard. So
no, Jason, don't do it to people. Don't do it. Don't. play it in the confines of your own house. Don't spread that kind of knowledge, because then I'm going to spend 7 hours trying to complete a draft, and I don't have 7 hours to play a day, so I would have to play one draft over 5 days. No.
I'm sorry, but nothing like, no matter what I do, Sam Black is almost certainly going to be doing that, and he has a lot more reach than I do. So I'm sorry for you already.
Yeah, the WinCon comment reminded me of the Sam Black command in chat, actually, where it's like, WinCon, like, put creatures on the battlefield, accumulate value, you'll find a way to win. Like, probably misquoted, but I always love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably there was not the put creatures on board part.
Yeah.
Accumulate value. I think that the definition should be bimodal card, win or draw 20 cards. Easy 20.
Yeah. I mean, Lord knows that's me half the time.
Luckily, the other half of the time you're jamming mono red. Okay, let's move on to the other colors. Black.
Mono black. I'll jam that.
Go. That's not mono black, just big picture of black.
Yeah, big picture black.
I think the big picture of black is going to be primarily sacrifice synergies, both sacrificing artifacts that you put in your deck, sacrificing artifact tokens that you make, and sacrificing little creatures like the 1/1 uncommon, like Festering Goblin vibe for value. And once you get all of these things in play, you're just going to generate tons of value. You've got a 2-drop that taps and sacrifices an artifact to draw a card, so you can be spinning these things around. You've got all the value. You have the Rage Mutt, which is creating 2-for-1s. It's unearthing. It's getting you more value. So black feels like it can really grind, that it can like make it to a late game. It can pull out a late game, and it can compete with the best of them with 2 of the like most unconditional removal spells in the entire format, as well as disfigure, not disconfigure, to stop you from falling behind. And I think it's going to pair well with white. I think it's going to pair well with red. Particularly, this works really well with the red active treason card. I forget the name, like Sibling Rivalry, maybe.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, I am very excited to try some of that stuff out. And I think black's going to be great. I don't know what y'all have to say on that, but I'm very excited for the black cards. That's probably what I'll be doing a lot of on day one.
Yeah, I think another thing is just like a lot of the black cards just like really good rate cards. Like just like not even outside the synergy is just like, you know, emergency wells, like make a 1/1 like mini Gravedigger at common. Moment of Defiance.
Moment of
Defiance reminds me of Hunt the Specimens. Yeah. And then we haven't even talked about.
Say that?
Yeah, or Hunt the Specimens at home or something.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there's also Pilfer at home. I
know the Toll of the Invasion at home.
Yeah,
with Gix's Caress.
Yeah, exactly. But it's better than Pilfer, in my opinion.
I really like the prototype that can be either a 1/1 death touch, where it's just like gonna stonewall an aggro deck, or it's a 6-mana 5/5, which with that touch, which is gonna obviously trade with 2 things.
I think it's 5/4.
Okay, I had read it as a 5/5, but I misread things a lot, so it could definitely be a 5/4. But
yeah,
I'm not super high on that
one as
me
much,
neither.
But like I could definitely see it, like, you know, being fine. Like if you like 2-mana 1/1 death touch can be fine, definitely.
Yeah, like I was just like commenting more so that like we've talked about all these different black cards, and like that's a card that I'm like gonna put in my decks that we haven't even mentioned yet. For instance, like I think black's gonna be very deep.
Yeah, I'm just like comparing that card to, like, you know, Thraxademon, which I think is just like insane.
Oh yes, exactly, 100% agree. Yes.
Who might
Ashnod's Intervention is also
I made this slide. I like the fodder is supposed to be standing for like sacrifice synergies, but
So what do you think? What do you think about Gigamole then?
I don't like it. Like, I don't know. It's a split card, 2/3 draw a card, right? But like it doesn't draw lands. It's like a lot worse than Organ Hoarder. I think it's more comparable to Vine Shaper Prodigy, which like wasn't that good. It just seems well, so split card between that and 3/4 mill 3 cards, but there's necessarily no creatures in the cards you milled. Or, well, actually you can choose to just not get the creature back, but I don't know.
Yeah, you can. You can easily choose not to put the creature back. I think if with 16 creatures, that's pretty good chance of drawing. I have to actually do all the stats.
You could also hit 2 creatures and get like extra value that way. Like I think the self-mill and stuff, like I mean, I'm gonna play it. I think it's like solid filler. I probably wouldn't want to like pick it highly though either.
I don't know. I'm just like, I'm kind of skeptical of anything that costs more than 3 mana and isn't an artifact in this set, like just as a baseline, because like,
whoa, who was just singing praise of a 4-mana aura? Damn it.
Wait,
but no, I think I agree with Jason.
Yeah, Shaman.
In the fact
my
that
animation. Yeah, but that's
here,
not
it's
an aura.
artifact.
That's a 4/4 draw a card.
Even then though, that's an artifact card in my book. Like I think of it like if you're spending 4 mana on a card and it's not like creating some sort of like artifact value or synergy, like you're probably spending your mana in not a good way.
Yeah, like basically, like why would I play a Gigamole when I can just like play a 4/4 on turn 4, in a completely different color, like the Onulet, right? Like the 5-mana 4/4. Like that's like a very like low floor to what I can do on turn 4. And like I still like it better than Gigamole on turn 4.
And you can't pay for it with Power Stones for double spelling and stuff. I don't know. There's like a bunch of things that it just like doesn't check the box of. So I'm getting lower and lower on it as we speak, even though you'll see a lot of it in my skeletons.
But it's called double spelling. The other spell is an artifact. It's fine.
Did you have a like?
What if you get back a creature that's not an artifact?
Yeah. I typically
that's a problem.
I think the card would have been better if it said non-creature card. Like, I think the creatures are typically the stuff that you want to keep in there.
I wish it said creature or artifact.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
That would be better already, obviously. It's a wider range.
I'm trying to improve. Fire design.
Basically, like, the cycle of, like, mill 3, get a thing back, or put a +1/+1 counter on it, I want it to either be cheap, or I want it to, like, basically I just want it to be cheap.
The green 1/1. The green 1/1 is good.
I have decided. I wish that this card would say Death Touch on it.
Yes, if it said Death Touch, it would be amazing. But
no, that's exactly what's missing on that card.
Yeah, because we had
like a 3-mana 1/1 Death Touch.
This card is like literally from like 1997. It's like Gravedigger. It's like hasn't improved at all.
I mean,
it's just the same.
Gravedigger. Like it doesn't.
Exactly. Like it's gone the wrong direction. Like I'm really hating this card now. And I read it at first. I was like, oh, this is good value. But yeah, 4 mana is a lot when you could be spending 5.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. So we slowly get into the actual skeletons after 2 hours. Big picture red. Who's willing to take this one?
I mean, I can just quickly say, like, I made the slide. It's just there's good removal. There's some good cards. Like I think Whirling Strike is a really good aggressive trick. Scrap Mutt. Scrap Mutt's a colorless card, but like in red, it does get better noticeably. And like there's a lot of sacrifice synergies. Like I think like the 1-mana 1/2 that becomes a 3/2 menace. That's like I think that's pretty real if you're being an aggressive sacrifice deck. Strong Bull is like a very real aggressive threat that rewards you, that like enables your sacrifice stuff. Sibling Rivalry, the Act of Treason that comes with a Power Stone also. Like there's enough sack outlets to make like Steel and Sack very real. Even in mono red with like Strong Bull, honestly. Bitter Reunion I put under sacrifice synergies because it does sacrifice itself.
Yes.
It does lend itself to aggression a bit. Triggers your Goblin Blast Runners, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, if I have 4 Blast Runners in my deck, I'll probably start including Bitter Reunions.
I also think Bitter Reunion is like a pretty decent card. Like
they're playing it in Pioneer, in Enigmatic or Incarnation, even as a sacrifice outlet. Like it's got legs as a card.
Obviously, this is gonna be a combo constructed card.
Well, yeah, no, but like
I put it in my prowess build because it allows you to filter lands. It's a non-creature spell. And also, like at some stages, you will be able to squeeze in extra damage by playing a hasty attacker.
Yeah, we've seen how good Thrill has been in the past, and like instant speed
doesn't matter. That's an instant speed spell.
Yeah, okay, sure, instant speed, but instant speed doesn't matter as much in red
when you have prowess.
Yeah, especially like when you have prowess, you're already wanting to tap out, right? So like it doesn't matter that much, whether it's instant speed or not. And also it has just a lot of like incidental things of like, it triggers the draw 2 stuff. It triggers the sacrifice stuff. It puts stuff in your graveyard for unearth and for reanimation. It triggers prowess. It's like kind of a gluey card. And like, I think it's like a bit like, it's not going to be a gluey card in like that's busted in like best red common or anything. I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to best red common. Like the way like Forbidden Friendship was in Ikoria, but like I think it'll be the gluiness of it will be enough to make it like you'll probably play 1 or 2.
And you know, if you keep it from your draft chaff in paper drafts, in 20 years it's going to be worth like $7 because everyone chucked their copies away, and it will be a key card in some kind of a combo deck. So you know. All
right. Okay, and the energy refractor.
Look, guys, in 20 years we're facing retirement. There's not going to be retirement money. We need to keep those chaff commons to actually feed ourselves.
Oh, I just
you should be collecting Tolarian Terrors now if you're not already.
Yeah, I included refractor and supply drop here just as like things like artifacts that do something and then like leave an artifact on the battlefield that you can like, sacrifice, like to Stronghold, for example. Probably supply drop is maybe better just because like you could use that like in an aggressive deck. It's like fine as a trick. Like 3 mana +2/+2 is not amazing, but like leaving behind an artifact has value. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be bad. But...
It's a trick that you can play with Power Stones. I think that's an interesting thing.
Oh, that's a good note.
You can tap out like your regular colored mana, and I'm people will not expect you to 3 colorless mana combat trick. I think that'll be.
I mean, if it's good, people will start expecting it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think especially in the beginning, it will be interesting. Hey, and
it's like what was that? The equipment with flash
Quick
that would come
dagger?
in. Yeah, exactly. It's like that. Like it was really good when no one thought about it, and then it definitely became easier to play around.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, the point is that if you're playing against red and they have 2 mana untapped, Whirling Strike is an option every single time anyway. So I don't think you're going to have like 3 Power Stones lying around.
Yeah, probably not.
In those aggressive decks. So that's a bit of a wishful thinking in there. And if you have 3 Power Stones lying around, then probably you're playing the wrong trick because you want to be playing 9 mana chonkers and not supply drop.
Oh, I guess one more thing I want to point out, which is I think important to red. Red has like not only is the removal good, it's good and aggressive. Specifically, Excavation Explosion obviously is busted, but it can go face. And Unleashed Shell also like deals 2 to face. So like, like if you ever played like mono red and Eldraine, a lot of times you just like killed your opponent through like casting 2, like casting a Searing Barrage, getting in for a couple points of damage, casting another Searing Barrage, getting in for another couple points of damage, and suddenly they're dead.
In Zendikar Rising, the Synchronous card. Okay, the Synchronous Firecraft, I think it was like 5 mana, deal 4, like, and then it hit face for the amount of party members. Like that card would be unplayable without the like go face clause. But if you're getting like 2 to 3 damage in there, same kind of thing in an aggressive shell, like it does add up.
Yeah, and also the active treason gets better when you're more aggressive, and there's big chonkers in the set. So,
and you know, in the same gist of the removal, the Whirling Strike gives trample, and this is like so much of a change because you attack with like a 3/1 for 2 mana, give it +2/+0 and trample, and all of a sudden you kill their small thing that they were expecting to trade, and you also go like 3/4 in the face, which makes it easier to finish off with that additional removal. So I think that.
With prowess as well, I'm excited for that card.
All of these are like going to deal like like between 1 and 3 damage to face, and like that doesn't sound like that much, but it really starts adding up.
No, I think that this is the thing that makes or breaks mono red. That you will be able to play absolute rubbish creatures and play a couple of Whirling Strikes, a couple of Excavation Explosions that you pick early. And you're just there, and then the only point of playing mono red is just to play fewer lands, not because some kind of majestic synergy appears.
This is also why I like Owling Shield Mage at home. the ward pay 2 life, I think, does start to get real because of that.
We got there.
But I'm just a 1/3 apologist. So.
Oh wait, what is this? Is this what you put, Jason?
No, I didn't put this here. I don't.
That arrived. I made it so that arrived when you clicked. If you go back with your left mouse, does it removes? Yeah, there you go. Oh yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
So,
That's why I'm just
Icky
wondering
posted
who
this.
did it.
I thought it was sweet. I think that interaction will come up where you just dome somebody for 6 or something. I'm going to love that. It's I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, this is something I enjoy.
Well, yeah. No, let's see. I'm. It's a bit of a shame that the cards are framed so that you can't see the stats of them. But I think the guy's at 2-3.
Yes, it's a 2-3. It's a 2-3.
2-3. Yeah.
Both these
2-3
cards are on our regular sheet, I think, too. If we just go back to the slide.
Oh yeah, there it is. 2-3. Yes.
Yep.
Pendragon Strong Bull.
Yeah,
I can see
even more burn, by the way, from on that card.
Yeah,
more direct damage to face.
Yeah, exactly. Another one of those. So basically, I think red just needs to do 10 creature damage, and the rest will be sorted somehow.
Yeah, something like that.
which is a good signal for an aggressive deck. Right.
How do you like splashing Strong Bull in like a blue-green, like rampy deck? So
no.
I feel like you can use your power stones for other things.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
So they remove your 10-10 and your 8-8, and they're like, we're sure. And then you smash the 2-3, sack all your power stones, hit them,
and you're in.
I hit them for 8 to the face out of nowhere.
And then sack it to the fling that draws a card and makes another power stone or whatever.
Supply steamer.
You just have to answer, how did you manage to get 27 mana? But apart from that, everything is fine.
What? You don't play lands?
No,
I cast Everpool every single game. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Right. What is about green?
Okay, so green is another one I think that like people are kind of confused by. I'm kind of confused by it.
I'm confused by it.
Yeah, I think so. Green has a lot of good aggressive tools. That's the first thing to notice. I think like you have the 2/2 that can't be blocked by artifacts and like pumps itself for 7 mana. By pumps, I mean that it gets 2+1/+1 counters. So kind of like Sorrowform hybrid from Guilds of Ravnica Allegiance, if anyone remembers that.
Yep.
You have a 3/3 for 3 that like has the like when an artifact enters, it gets +1/+0 text, which like is like 3/3 for 3 is pretty solid. Stats wise, and like it just like probably attacks as a 4/3 more often than not. And then you also have 3/1 for 2 wards 2, which is like it's kind of weird to have ward 2 on your 3/1 because like usually your 3/1 trades and instead of getting removed, but like it does prevent it from like being disfigured that easily, and like there are some tricks in green that you might want to leverage, or like for example Epic Confrontation as a removal spell as well is pretty nice on the 3/1, and then you just have like good efficient tricks and removal as well with Confrontation, Giant Growth, and Gaia's Gift, which is quite a card. They just keep adding keywords.
The 3/1 that you mentioned, this is the fun police for the people that think, oh, I'm going to skip on the 2 drops and I'm just going to play those cheap removals, deal 3, gain 2 life and stuff like that. And then you just drop that on turn 2 and just slam them in the face as much as you can.
Yeah, and there's a red version of it as well with Reach. Same thing.
Yeah. I think the ward is nice for allowing you to like cast tricks on the aggressive foot into like a light amount of open mana. But
you have Gaia's Gift for that kind of shenanigans to build your own bottle.
Yep.
True.
And like it is kind of weird because like green also then has some rampy stuff. Like Argothian Opportunities is just a really good card. So like 3/2 3/2 comes with a Power Stone. It attacks pretty well. It's a 3-mana 3/2 and it gives you some value. So like that fits into the plan a bit, but like I don't know. There's also some random like graveyard stuff, ramp stuff. I do want to talk about Jaspera Sentinel at home. I do think it's worse than Jaspera Sentinel because its body is worse. But I do have a bit more hope in this card than I did like a couple days ago because I realized that there's a lot of combos with it in the retro artifact slot. Specifically, there's like quite a few artifacts that like just like cantrip and stay on the battlefield, or like Ichor Wellspring and Elsewhere Flask, those two, or just like random artifacts that will stick on the battlefield. And there's 2 at rare, Howling Mine and Key to the City that just become personal howling mines when you
literally a howling mine becomes your personal howling mine.
Yeah. So the trick is howling mine actually does not work when it's tapped. So you just tap it before your opponent it goes to your opponent's turn, and they don't get to draw a card. And then it goes back to your turn. You untap it during your untap step, and then you'll get the draw during your draw step. And then Key to the City is another one. It has like a tap, discard a card, make something unblockable, and when it becomes untapped, you can pay 2 to draw a card. Sentinel Stalwart just like lets you tap it without discarding a card, which is nice.
Yes, there's some grind in there, and I think that you completely omitted the ramp capabilities. There is the 5 mana spell that makes 3 power stones. I think that this gains 3 life, which makes that card playable. I think because otherwise it would be just too much of a back-breaking situation.
I tried to stick to commons like these slides, but that one that's why I didn't include that. But yeah, that one definitely is interesting for ramp.
Wellspring also broken in Sacrifice, by the way.
Yeah. I think Wellspring will be one of those
Wellspring is good.
2 mana divination, thanks.
Yeah, basically, I was a bit down on Stalwart because I was thinking like, oh, well, how good is tapping a Power Stone to it anyways? Like, Power Stone's probably already making mana if you're building your deck correctly. But then I realized that there's a bunch of other artifacts that aren't that aren't Power Stones, like Wellspring or Energy Refractor, and like these 2 random rare personal howling mines.
Yep.
Isaiah is crying that there is no Winter Orb in the archive.
We don't need any more continuous artifacts.
And that sort of explains the mana symbol in Isaiah's avatar. The one-story blue mage that wants to make miserable for everyone.
Yep. Probably just that symbol's just paying upkeep for Isaiah's stasis or something.
There are, by the way, a lot more of those Wellspring type things. There's Bubble, there's the Flask that you mentioned earlier.
The 1 mana, the star thing, whatever it's called.
Chromatic Star.
Yeah, also a good one. Yeah, there are quite some of those.
The star is great because you sack.
By the way, these cards are also like a good filler for mono decks because you can just make sure that you have enough fluff to play 1 color basically by cycling your artifacts and maybe being able to sacrifice them at some stage.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, did we get to the... Oh, no, sorry, important.
Oh, this is, the most important slide in the...
That's yours. All yours.
Yeah.
So the reason I added this is because I was wondering whether this was a thing or not, right? So we got the mine worker.
I don't think it's a thing.
I think it's a thing. It's a hidden archetype.
Plant worker, tower worker. We also got the self-assembler at uncommon. And again, these are showing up. This is not a rarity or something. So is this a thing?
Is your claim that self-assembler is the shield wall sentinel of this set? And
it's the linchpin for the assembler.
It's the linchpin.
Which of these is chaplain then? I don't think this.
No, but why would this be in the set, right? This is a common, so we're going to open like 6 of these at the table, eh?
Oh, well,
on average,
it's for
7.
Flavor.
Yeah, but
because
are
it's
these
the Brothers
7?
War.
Yeah, it's Ursa's stuff. It's just fun.
Yeah. This is definitely not for strategic like balance to the format editions. I don't think.
But 7 unplayable commons in a draft pool is pretty rough, right?
Wait, but these aren't unplayable.
I think you can play them as filler, and I think that helps like the mono decks and the artifact stuff. That they're just kind of dinky, and you can pick them up late if you need them.
Yeah, like a 2-mana 2/1 top gain life. That's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have autonomous assembler, self-assembler becomes a pretty high pick.
Yeah.
And you will get access to it, so you might be, definitely making sure that you get your autonomous assembler in the draft when you first pick it, which probably you should.
Don't forget, your Mishra's Foundry can pump your opponent's attacking assembly workers if you really want.
Good point.
Nice.
Good point. If you want to destroy evil them.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that we explored the topic of assembly workers.
Assembly workers. Yes.
Hey, we're there.
Woo!
Archetype Skeletons. Hurrah.
Oh no!
Whose is this? I see.
Oh, this is gotta
I
be
see
mine.
Stalwarts.
Yeah, this has got all the bad cards. It has shitty Imperial Oath. It's got shitty Bone Splinters. But we've got 2 giant growths. I think that the Sigil of Valor is going to be an important card in like the aggressive decks that like have some flyers or something like that. I think that could be interesting. But to be honest, the way that I did a lot of mine was draft simming them and kind of building out from there. And I think this is one of the ones that I started by just doing a draft sim draft. And I think I started with like the green-white signpost uncommon and was like, all right, let's give this a try. And I think that the main idea is that you really want to get out early. You want to have like, I like the idea of using like the equipments with the fake Jasper Sentinels to like ramp up early, kind of hit some 4-drops and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a more aggressive deck. Is my thought. And I think that if green white's going to be good, you'll probably want some giant growths in it was really the only thing that I feel pretty strong about. But does anyone else have thoughts on green white? Because as I mentioned, green was the color I struggled with the most as far as conceptualizing what I thought it wanted to do.
So I think I'm the only one that has the green white. Where is it?
That's fair, but I'm sure that Jason and Sander could rip apart my brew anyway, even without a skeleton of their own.
I had in fact said that green and white were the 2 colors I was most shaky on, so I don't.
Yeah, one thing I can definitely say, I don't see the great utility of the prospector in here. I understand that it makes several artifacts potentially on one turn, and that boosts the Ocean Dissenter. But you're not ramping into anything particular.
Yeah,
you're totally right.
And that's one thing I would be quite weary of. Okay.
Yeah, the curve's not great either. It definitely wants more 2-drops. I think that it would like some of that.
Also, is like maybe not something I would be keen playing. Is that the? I think
that's the indestructible hexproof one. Or no, that's the +1/+0 first strike.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, +1/+0 first strike. Yeah,
that's a card that I want to try out. I mean, it'll probably be terrible. Like I said, I wanted to try out Hammer Hand, and obviously that was terrible. But that's kind of the way I go into these, is trying out the weird cards. But
I think that if you're ramping so heavy, I would probably go with the Ambush Paratroopers, more of them.
Yes,
because first of all, they're like an excellent target for the counters from the Ocean Dissenter, and second of all, they will be your mana sink later.
Exactly.
In the game. Because if you go slightly wide, you can pump them once. That's going to be a big difference there.
Totally agree.
I'm going to try now doing things in the thing. So I'm going to see how it works.
It works.
How do I do that? Okay, I can do that, but how do I add the actual draft deck that I have from myself?
You could go to the slide.
What are you?
I'm trying to put my version of the green white.
You can just open up a browser, right, and share the browser screen.
Yeah, I'm just checking how to change because I have it in the super small screen.
I don't feel strongly about green white, honestly.
Yeah, not my best work.
No, but in general, I think the engineer is a little bit better in this color pair than it is anywhere else. The 2/1 that dies into a Power Stone. Yeah. I think
one thing green white maybe could be is like a trick stack. Like there's the white 1-mana aura with flash.
Yeah, so Benji had that one.
That was my deck. Was 2 of those, 2 giant growths, and a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
Like that's like all I have for green white. Like, it could be a trick stack.
Yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah.
So I went with like a bunch of 2-drops and a bunch of things.
Must be nice.
Oh, we are allowed up to 2 rares, no? Thank you.
Yeah. I just didn't open one.
Well, there you go. So I put the Vanguards and the Perimeter Patrols and Argothian Opportunists and Power Stone Engineers to basically be able to put some artifacts on board while still applying pressure and getting some something out of the ETBs of artifacts. So the deck is mainly built around, I play the Vanguard, I play the Dissenter, then turn 4, I play like a Scrapwork cohort that puts 2 artifacts on board, or I put Argothian Opportunist that puts 1 thing on board. I have this late game in the Boulder Branch Golems, which I can also play as a 4 drops that will gain me some life and help me race. And then on top of that, I have some tricks and some fight spells because I'm mainly working on creatures. So the Power Stones don't play a magnificent role in this deck. Probably I should put a couple of those 1/2 flyers, as I suggested to Benji myself, in order to basically have alternative ways to win if I can't do it on board. But it's sort of like what I call this sort of like a 3/3 aggro, when you put things that become 3/3s very quickly, and that because you can put quite a lot of them for cheap, makes you win the games easily. I think that I put only the Sarinth Steel Seeker. That's the thing that when an artifact comes into play, you can look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may reveal it and put it in your hand to sort of like make sure that I draw gas at some stage, because I can put an artifact into battlefield almost every turn. And because I can do that, I can make sure that I'm going to draw spells and not lands if I don't need them. So yeah, that.
Looking at the inclusion of the Boulder Branch Golem, I envision the Boulder Branch Golem to be more like a blue-green top end, because you need to stabilize with the life gain. I think in an aggressive deck like the one you had here, the white-green deck, I would, for example, like the Iron Claw Crusher a little bit better. The one that,
which one is that?
Buffs. It's a 7 mana 4/6 or a 2 and 2 green 2/5, so 4 in total 2/5. And whenever it attacks, target attacking creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn.
Okay,
Its power. I like that better because you have those like tiny 2 and 3 drops, and then being able to buff it with the Claw Crusher. I think the Claw
maybe that's the way. I just put this one because I think that this is like individually probably the best of those prototype common cards. At least
it is.
In my vision, and it's an artifact, so it will be able I can drop it as at turn 4 just to make my team bigger and get some buffs, because it's also still an artifact. So
yeah, makes sense.
Right.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah,
we don't feel strongly about green-white.
Green-white, yeah.
What's happening there? Okay, there
we go.
White-blue.
White-blue.
Whose awful deck is that? Mine?
This is my terrible deck, I think.
Oh, this is yours.
Yeah, this is real bad. Yeah, so I tried to build a Soldier's Prowess deck, and I don't know if there's that much soldier support. You can see again, I have the Bonesaw and the Sigil of Valor. Like I plan to try these cards early. Like I like to see if the equipment's good or not. Like I think Bonesaw is probably going to be pretty meh. Like it doesn't do that much, but I could see worlds where the Sigil of Valor is actually good. But anyways, moving on. Yeah, my ideas was like flyers and soldiers, and that's really kind of it. Like tempo kind of stuff. I think it should have one of the uncommons that taps down the 2 creatures with the 2 stun counters. When I read that card during deck building, I didn't notice the 2 stun counters until we were actually talking about it on the slide. So
you just thought it was sorcery tap 2 things.
I thought it was really bad. Yes, 100%. I misread the card and I thought it was awful. And after seeing the 2 stun counters, I'm like, oh, this is like Blinding Beam. Like this is totally different than the card that I thought it was. And this is great in these like blue-white decks. And so, yeah, I thought one thing of note is like a lot of the random 1-drop artifact colorless creatures are soldiers. Like that wasn't something that I really noticed at first, but that was definitely like one of my big takeaways during constructing this deck that I hadn't noticed at first. So
you still hate the 1/2 Flash Flyer.
Yeah, I don't even know what the 1/2 Flash Flyer is.
It's a 1 in the white for a 1/2 Flash Flyer that has 5.
The Seagate Banneret?
Yeah, it has 5.
Okay.
You can chill, get +1/+1.
I did not know that card had Flash. I must have missed that. But I also missed the blue 5-drop flyer had Flash. So apparently that's a tough word for me to read.
Good card.
I do think blue-white flyers could be a thing. I'm like kind of skeptical of soldiers because there's just like no team pump at common. And like you have you have the uncommon lord, but like
the 1/2 Flash Flyer.
Yeah, 1/2 flash flyer, and there's a team pump in red.
Okay, sure. The 1/2 flash flyer barely counts, I think.
Yeah, I definitely just built this on a whim, trying the soldier thing, but I think that blue-white flyers might be a better way to go. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I think Sigil of Valor helps though. Like Sigil of Valor is a very real thing to put on a flyer.
Yeah, that was one thing that I thought. Yeah, I don't know. I think Sigil is going to be interesting. I could see it being really good. Maybe it won't be.
I think Take Flight will be good as well. I like that card.
Okay, I was super on the fence on it, so I'm glad to hear that you like it as well, because I think it'll be good or bad.
Yeah. I think it's good.
Okay, well, that's what we had here.
No,
I think that, my main difference was I had the 2 flash flyers. I had exactly the same 2-drop package in the deck. And
why is Chaplain a cleric and not a soldier? Like, honestly, it would have been so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so frustrating. It really is.
Yes. Yeah, I think they did that on purpose.
Which Chaplain? Too good. Oh, Airlift Chaplain. That would have been good. Yeah, I think I've also put there's a 2/1 soldier for 1 mana, the sort of Savannah Lion that can dig for cards later in the game.
That one is good as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 1-drop. That card's great.
Yeah. But apart from that, it's pretty similar. Oh, I do have the top 2 cards, but I thought it was much better on the other hand than when you thought it was trash. I thought it did twice as much as it does.
Exactly. Okay, so we both completely misunderstood the card in different directions.
Yeah, average it out to be correct.
Hey, but at least I put it in. So you know.
Yeah, that's because you thought it was really good.
But it's still good enough, I think, to put it in.
Oh, I think so too. I wish I had put it in.
I didn't put the Sigil of Valor. I think that this is like a really good plan with the flyers, and even with Air Marshal. With Air Marshal on board, you can just like send something in the skies and just like chunk.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is black blue. Oh, that must be mine. I see that way of deck building. So I basically tried to make sure that I go all in on the draw 2 card synergies, even though there's not so many of them. But I put the Evangel of Synthesis, the Signpost Uncommon. It can become a 3/3 menace when you draw 2 cards in a turn. There is the Gurgling Anointer. This card grows when you draw 2 cards in a turn. Latinum Adept is a 3/3/4/4, so Hill Giant, that when you draw a second card, it gets a +1/+1 counter, so it also can grow into something big. And Trench Stalker, it gets Death Touch and Lifelink if you draw your second card. And in order, there's also Thopter Mechanic that I think gets a +1/+1 counter when you draw 2 cards. So I put every single thing that had those 2 counter abilities. I think Trench Stalker is probably a decent card and probably should have been 2 of it in this deck as well. But in order that I can reliably activate those abilities, because some of them give permanent bonuses, I put 2 Stern Lessons because they draw 2 cards at instant speed, so I can do it on opponent's turn and get my synergies up. And apart from that, I had things like Thraxodemon, that you can sacrifice a permanent and draw a card. Curate that draws 1 card as well. So you have a couple of ways of drawing 1 card.
Urza draws a card.
Urza is exactly for that reason. Yeah. I can also draw a card. I think that this deck, I could have probably put a couple of bigger things and have a Reanimator spell as well, because since I'm already drawing and discarding a lot with Stern Lesson and Urza, you can also put this sort of like reanimation package if you get a couple of those, but I didn't. It should basically work like an aggro deck that has some additional power by drawing those 2 cards. I'm
disappointed in the lack of 4-mana 4/4 haste draw cards.
Beers, thanks for the raid, Beers, and hopefully you can stay a bit and bash our silly ideas. If you don't know, chat, Beers is an excellent player, one of the top 10 trophy winners of 17 Lands of all time.
Beers is amazing, and the stream is always a blast. It's so much fun.
Beers is great. Also, Beers SC is great. Because you get some of the like incidental ramp by playing Stern Lessons, you might get to enough mana. I also have the Third Path Savant because that one can also draw you 2 cards, which will trigger the ability and hopefully make you win. But in general, I don't think that you need to lean on those draw 2 card synergies. You can easily build it as an aggro. It's just that if you have a bit of those synergies, you can get extra from your card.
Yeah, I'm personally still a bit skeptical that like I want to care this much about drawing 2 cards. Like I still feel like a lot of these is like, you know, like white-green artifacts entering the battlefield or blue-black draw 2 cards feel a bit like worse than just playing the good cards. Like I'm not excited about the hill.
No. I totally agree. I'm pretty sure
we're doing that to enable a 4-mana 3/3 and a 5-mana 4/5. That's
the 4/5 getting lifelink is very real.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how you not lose that's how you not lose those games. And you know, Latinum Adept, you just durdle for some turns because you have a 4/5 on board, and this becomes a 7/7 that they need to deal with. It's a different way of getting your creatures to the size that those behemoth artifacts will get through them. And you actually have decent 2-drops because like the Evangel of Synthesis is a very good 2-drop in this format. Like 2/3 for 2 mana is excellent. And the fact that it will get a bit of the evasion is great. Gurgling Anointer is amazing when you get it to 3 power, because when it dies, it just brings something back from the graveyard, something that you will have in your graveyard because you have Stern Lessons and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that it's a great reward. And you got the Jixian Puppeteer. That's like a 4-mana 4/3.
That's a rare though, right?
you can have 1 rare in your deck.
Yeah, you get 2 of those.
You're gonna get that rare.
I guess what I'm saying is like I feel like yeah, the good payoffs are good. Like, you know, the uncommon and rare payoffs are good. I'm just not. I don't think I really want to play Latinum Adept in my deck. And I feel like you don't really need to like go through that much trouble to enable drawing 2, because like I think you're going to be playing Curates, Stern Lessons, Cantrip artifacts like Bauble, Combat Courier also draws a card. Like there's just a lot of ways to draw a second card in the set.
Yeah, no,
in blue and black.
But that's exactly what I put in this deck: Curates, Stern Lessons, and
like I guess
Urza. I mean,
I just feel like
what I'm saying is like you don't like this. I feel like the synergies are kind of incidental. You're just playing good cards, and like the uncommons are good cards, and the Latinum Adepts are not.
So yeah, it kind of reminds you of like Kaldheim, where like you kind of like learn that like draw 2 is just kind of a win more. Like most of the time you're just losing, and the times that you're winning, it's like, yeah, like you're, you know, getting this incidental bonus, but you're drawing 2 cards per turn already with other effects. Like you should be able to win that.
Yeah, the point of for like playing for Stern Lesson, you lose a bit of the tempo of not playing a permanent at that time. So the fact that you're getting some additional bonus, like the fact that you play like this Gurgling Anointer on turn 3, and then turn 4 you play Stern Lesson, and maybe ramp into like some kind of a 5-drop or 6-drop. The fact that this becomes a 2/4 flyer makes you more confident that you can, you know, block with it or something.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's about it for the deck. I don't know. Do you have?
No,
I think that I honestly think that what Jason is saying is right. I mean, black and blue has enough value cards that you're just going to play value decks, and synergy is going to be absolutely incidental. But I also think that because those cards that do have a synergy are not particularly wanted by anyone else, you might have more access to it if you are identifying the right lane and you're the only blue-black drafter on the pod.
Is that true? Like the blue-black uncommon, sure, but like Gurgling Anointer, I feel like there's enough card draw in black that Gurgling Anointer is like just pretty good in any black deck. And same with Thopter Mechanic in any blue deck.
You will get your Trench Stalkers though.
Trench Stalker? Which one's that? Oh, the 4/5. Yeah, sure, maybe.
And you know, I think that the Trench Stalker will be sort of like maybe a feature of those decks, that you're going to play like a normal Dimir control that goes low on life quite quickly, but then you play like 2 Trench Stalkers and you swing for 8 with lifelink, and all of a sudden the game is over.
Oh, if you want that, have you considered playing what was it called? I forget what it's called. It's a 3-mana 2 and a black instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 and lifelink. Draw a card.
Yes, that's the card that I think you can gain life with.
That's a great card. That's a great
you've had too much Talarian Terrors lately to be like thinking this highly about this 5-mana 4/5. But maybe that's just me.
I think that, you know, if this format was designed to be able to play like a 9-mana Colossus, then you definitely can play a 5-mana 4/5 in that format.
Well, the problem is the 5-mana 4/5 doesn't beat the 9-mana Colossus.
And it's not an artifact, so you can't Power Stone it.
It's got a bloody Death Touch.
But only if you not on their turn as easily. Like you have to work a lot more.
Not if you play Stern Lesson.
Yeah, Stern Lesson works.
Or activate the third path Savant or whatever it's called. Is it Savant? Yes. I mean, there are ways of getting that activation on their turn, and also they can attack with their 8/8. You attack with your 4/4 lifelinker, and maybe you can win this race. Maybe you can chomp their things. Like there are ways. I think that the 4/5 is not going to be the best black common by all means, but I think it's going to be a pretty decent black card in a particular deck that can activate it 2 or 3 times.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Let's move to the black-red. I think that only Tajoordan built a black-red.
Love the curve. Oh, I built a black-red deck.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
this curve's great, right? 15 lands.
It's got a bauble and 15 lands? That's
Yes,
probably
let's go,
Jason's then,
boys.
but it looks pretty
Wait,
close
no,
to
it is
mine.
mine.
I thought it was
It's not
mine
mine.
at first. Okay,
not
then it
mine.
is mine. Yeah.
Mine. No, it is mine.
Okay, yeah. No, this looks very close to mine as well. I could have thought it was mine, dude. Love it, Kirstens.
I mean, it's definitely not mine because my black-red deck was mono-black. So
It's 15 lands, build an engine, value, profit.
Yeah,
I love it.
Red Black kind of just builds itself. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
good decks and a lot of very obvious synergies.
Yep. Reason I'm playing a Rock Hunter is because I think in these type of decks, it will be hard to get a creature in your graveyard to get back with your melt. So I'm basically playing the 3/1 because it trades off with anything early. And then I at least have one creature in the
Have you
grave
considered
to...
playing Scrap Mutt?
Which one is that?
Or Scrapwork Mutt or something? 2 mana, 2/1, colorless, ETB, Rummage, Unearth.
Yeah,
one in the
same
red.
thing. Yeah, would do the same
yeah.
job.
Yeah,
like
I
you
love
need
that card.
something.
I think I've got
you need
tons of those.
something. You need a creature in the grave, and I think a
Rock
Rock Hunter, they'll
are you
probably
ready
blocking
to say
that.
that it's better than Young Red Dragon?
I think so. I mean, both can be cast on 2, so I mean, it's pretty much a wash.
But
although the young dragon practically built the Power Stone, so
Exactly, they're both enablers. Like,
how do you like the Ashnod's trick? The +2/+0 return to the battlefield.
Return to hand.
yeah, I don't like it because it returns to hand.
Okay,
Yeah.
get it out of here. Get it out of here.
I was excited.
Misread. Abort.
Yeah.
Abort.
I still think that it's playable if you have like 2-3 copies of the Rager and you
Holy
unearth
shit, that's a bad card.
No, if you unearth the Rager, attack with it, play this
Maybe.
one, hit for 4,
Maybe, yeah.
return it to your hand, replay it, unearth it again, you basically turn it into like a million for 1. And I think that this is the only realistic card that I want to combo it with. Maybe the 3/1 that makes soldiers as well in some kind of a grindy white-black.
So like realistically, the only thing you're doing is you're roughly cycling it for a card, right? It's never getting better than just cycling for a card, right? Your creature goes like instead of your creature going away, it goes back to your hand. So like
Plus, it might help you out in combat.
Yeah, but you're doing it with a creature that also does something in the graveyard. So it's like getting the extra value out of that.
Well, sure.
And also,
like,
I think that those unearthed creatures are not going to be blocked by quite a lot of games. So you give those 2 extra damage, no?
Yeah, well, sure. Like basically, what I'm saying is like, it's roughly +2/+0, and like put a copy of whatever creature it was, like Phyrexian, I forget what it's called, something major, into your hand, and like, sure that can be fine, but like also the fact that it doesn't go back on the battlefield is so rough because like the reason why Feign Death and things like that were so good is because like returning to the battlefield is such good tempo, and like yes, it's a lot of value to get like the 2/2 draw card and with Unearth back into your hand, but like it's also really slow, right? You have to spend another 4 mana to play it and draw a card, and then like another 4 mana to unearth it. Like it's just really slow.
Yep. I'm lower on it now.
Obviously, it's not as good as it was. It particularly with unearthed creatures, it does get that extra utility.
Sure.
Yep. All right.
Is that all that you're gonna say about the
Yeah, it's just
Archetype?
straightforward, low curve, black red, sacrifice,
Sack
right? So bubble. I do like the Mishra's
funny,
research deck in here because it operates. Not sure who said this, but it operates like the red artifact one drop in
that was
Kamigawa,
LSV.
right?
That was LSV
Yeah.
that said that.
Yeah, it does the same thing. So
worth
that's a card
noting,
like.
Killzone Acrobat is important as a free sack outlet.
Yeah.
It also just kind of kills your opponent.
Yeah, that thing's like a threat.
Yeah, I think that Stronghold is close to a free sack outlet as well.
Yeah,
and also
it only can sacrifice artifacts though.
Yeah,
I think Killzone
Acrobat is also like a great way of opening the path for the goblin, the 1/1 goblin.
Yeah.
That's like that works really great with that.
Yeah,
This is nothing to do with the skeletons themselves, but does the by the way, this all is possible how we build the skeletons thanks to the good people in the SealTech.tech because they have like a very easy way of building archetypes. Just go on SealTech.tech and you can click bro archetypes.
Slash
they have all the cards.
Slash bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a link that you can click on the main.
Yeah,
page
I just click
anyway. That's what I do every single time. But it's weird that they did sort emergency weld in together with creatures. I find it very nice.
That's something I do.
Oh, you did it. Okay.
Yeah. So I treat it as a 1/1. So I treat it as a creature. That's what I do. I think in this deck it counts as a creature, and in the blue-black deck it counts as a spell. So
I think that this card is so good in the sacrifice archetype because it will allow you to sacrifice the 1/1 to the Killzone Acrobat, get something back, replay it, re-sacrifice it, and you can get quite a lot of shenanigans. And shall we move on to the next archetype?
Yeah.
Well, if I figure out how to do it, red-green.
Oh, this looks like it might be mine.
I think this is yours because mine was prowess. So we're gonna go to that later because I want to talk about the red-green prowess. Please.
I'm pretty sure I built this one
Mercurio.
as well. I don't
you probably did, Sander. Because
no worries.
Yeah, I only had one Evolving Wilds in any of my decks, so yeah, this has got to be you.
It's probably close. I do feel red-green is the deck that uses the big dumb artifacts the best.
That was my thought as well.
Yeah, you can see that I play a couple of them in here, and I'm playing the ones that are aggressive or help the beatdown plan, because I think that's what red-green is doing. So I'm playing tricks, aggressive creatures, and then I'm playing those modal like big dummies. So I can imagine that you finish games with the Haster Menace dudes out of the grave, the Demolisher. Or with a Rust Goliath, or with a big Iron Claw Crusher, stuff like that. And then that was my thought process here.
Okay, and the Animist will be just to animate the Power Stones later in the game.
It's just a good card, yeah.
And you still play 16 lands in that?
Yeah, I play 16 lands in most
16 lands, 2 Evolving Wilds.
That seems light to me, like if you want to cast these big spells, but maybe not.
So a lot of the stuff here makes a Power Stone, right?
I don't think you're ever casting the 10/10 for 10.
No, you're never doing that. I'm not planning to do that.
I'm planning to do it, baby.
As a 5-mana 3/5.
Reach trample.
I wouldn't be mad if I have to cast it like that.
It's a 5/5.
I do like just like red-green beatdown as a plan. Seems pretty reasonable.
Pretty reasonable, yeah.
So click this thing. My God, stop screen. Present, share screen. That's very, very easy to make.
Oh, look at this.
Look at this. This is a deck that I built. I don't know why Draconic Destiny is there. Mana value separated on creatures. There we go.
Can you drag it up a little bit, mate? Like you can make the sideboard smaller.
Yeah.
There we go.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mainly because it has 10 2-drops, but I thought that it was quite important to put 2-drops. I thought about building
so.
the sort of like much more aggressive version of what was red-green tricks in Dominaria United, based on the fact that you have a couple of cards that I think are important. One is Gaia's Gift, which allows me to make sure that I can attack, play tricks on my card, and have this one as a sort of insurance that no one can kill
also
it.
Gives trample.
At instant speed. And it also gives trample if push comes to shove. I think that one card I missed from the deck is the red trick that gives +2/+0 first strike and trample.
Yes, definitely.
I was just a dumb omission. I could play it instead of something else easily in there. But the idea is that you play those prowess red creatures, so Swift Spear, Dwarven Fort, Chanter. You play those high power 2-drops in Honor Guard, Rock Hunter, the free ones for 2. You have like as a rare, I had the Hajar Loyal Bodyguard. That's a 3/3 for 2. That's exactly what you want in this deck. And I put like the Signpost because that's really good rate and it has haste. I think that other cards that will be maybe okay in this deck is the artifact red creature that can be played for a prototype as a 3/2 haste, because that one will do quite some early damage. And then you don't have that much removal, but what you have instead is either removal that boosts your creature, like Epic Confrontation, that allows you to fight. Because, you know, if I have a couple of prowess creatures, I play this, it gives them +2/+3, fights, removes the blocker, and then you can swing. Or tricks that give trample, like Gaia's Gift, or like the +2/+0 first strike. And I think that this deck will exist, and this is going to be the sort of fun police of the format. If it,
I don't know. This deck looks fun to me.
Yeah, I like this deck. This deck looks awesome.
Yeah, no, this deck looks fun for us, but I can assure you that all the Timmies are going to cry when they will be dead. Only 7 turns before they are able to cast their 10.
Yeah, by the way, there's also an uncommon artifact creature that's a 3/1 for 2. It has Unearth 1 in the black, and it like when it attacks, it exiles a thing from a graveyard. It's
yeah, I put that in a lot of my decks.
Yeah, just a solid 3/1 for 2.
Yeah, that's also good in that. And then there's also technically a possibility of playing the 2-mana artifact with flying that can become a creature that accrues counters when you play non-creature spells, as a sort of like late game possibility for that deck. When you basically run out of your ground forces, you build it up to become a larger flyer, and then you activate it as a creature attack and win the games like that. I think that's also an option. But yeah, that's my vision of Gruul in this format.
I hope to never put Mishra's Domination in my deck.
Oh, I'm excited to try that thing out. I don't think it's going to be good, but I'm going to play it.
We have Arachniform at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that definitely would have been the +2/+0 first strike trick. But
Dude, Arachniform meets Abandon the Post. Oh, ban me.
Oh man, this one on the 1/2 flyer soldier. That's gonna be my way of winning the.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready to 2-for-1, you guys.
Oh wait, no,
I'm
white has the indestructible and hexproof trick. You could actually do it.
It does. It
has Snakeskin Veil at home.
There is a technology.
White red, baby.
Okay, looking forward to this trophy.
Oh, I can't wait. I now have a goal for day 1.
Obviously, it will take 5 hours before I figure out which buttons to click, but
yeah,
right.
The technology is not there yet.
Is it full screen? Yes.
That's good.
White black.
Ooh. Oh, hey, it's mono black.
Oh, this is my
black
deck, yeah.
with a splash of white.
So,
what is this mass production doing here?
I have no idea.
Look at what they did to my Imperial Oath.
It's creating 4 sacrifice options, but my main idea here was I think that like if it's anything like Mirrodin was a million years ago, if anyone remembers, you could pretty much play a monocolor deck that has like some different color like artifact creatures and stuff like that. Like you'll see some like white constructs and stuff in here. I think that there's a white rare as well that you can cast for 6 colorless or whatever.
Yep.
But the main idea is that if you can skew your mana in like a way like this, where you're like 11-5, 12-4, like 10-6 kind of thing, like you can play cards like Corrupt, which I don't think there's a Corrupt in this deck, but that's a fantastic card in any mono black or leaning mono black deck.
Classic Eldraine strats too.
Yep, exactly. And I just like black in particular, like it really has those great strong sacrifice synergies. Like that was the big picture thing that I talked about, because it's the one that I really feel like I am going to enjoy a lot of. And I think that white, as Jason had mentioned, I think is a solid support color. And so, you know, it doesn't have the right support cards in here necessarily, but you can see it definitely playing a supporting role. And my main idea is, yeah, that's a good call. And black can really grind with the best of them, I think. And I built this deck in that way. You can see my love for this 5/4 that I thought was a 5/5 with Death Touch that you can play on 2. I think of it as a 2-drop Death Touch primarily, just to like get to the late game and let your grind value take over. But yeah, if anyone has thoughts on, you know, black, white, and other ways it might go, definitely drop them on me. But I think this deck looks sweet.
I see that you are definitely in love with the Great Desert Prospector.
I don't know what that is.
It's the 5 mana
3/2 that makes Power Stones for each other creature you control.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I feel like it's interesting. I think it's a card. Yeah, I don't know. Like in that green-white deck, it made no sense, but I think it's a really interesting card. I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe it'll be terrible, but I feel like it's generating Power Stones at a rate that not many cards are, if that makes sense. So I think it like has potential.
I'm actually curious about how is it going to be average? I think 1.5 or maybe 2.
I would think 2, because it's a 5 drop.
It doesn't count itself, mind. Yeah, it doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay, and that's like me misreading it. Of course, like that's par for my brand.
So then it's 1, right?
Yeah, I would guess it's closer to 1 to 1.5 if it doesn't count itself. I was definitely thinking it counted itself.
So that's why I'm
5 mana 3/2 make a Power Stone at uncommon.
I think it makes like more like 2 or 3.
Okay.
I can definitely see it like being good in black white, where like you're probably going wide, you have some sacrifice stuff, like, you know, you have a Thraxodemon, it like draws cards, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Like in the green white deck, though, for instance, I think the 4 mana 3/2 that like when an artifact ETBs, like you create or give something flying, I think that fits a deck like that better than this 3/2.
I was thinking in combination. You just play Prospector. You just give all your team flying.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really interesting idea. Yeah,
that's the way to end the game.
I like it.
Yeah. While we're on that topic, what do you guys think about the 4 mana 2/3 and when an artifact enters the battlefield?
Oh, I think it's really good.
It's a 3/2 for reference, not a 2/3.
You do?
Oh wait, really?
I
thought it was a 2/3. 4 mana 2/3.
4 mana 5 total stat line. Not a big fan.
I was worried about it because it reminded me of a card from Crimson Vow or something that was bad.
Yeah, the 2/3 blue card maybe that drew a card when it went from. Do you remember that card?
I don't.
If it became night or day, then it drew a card.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know what card you're talking about.
I mean,
like this is completely different.
4 mana 2/3 whenever an
Is this completely different though?
Yeah, they're like, think of like giving your random like 7 mana 6/5 flying. Like, flying is a good keyword. Flying is a good keyword. Like it's weird because the body isn't great, certainly, and like white is just weird in general, but I think it is powerful.
It could make a monster threat, almost like Dual Craft Trainer would.
It is worth thinking about, at least.
I mean, yeah, Dual Craft Trainer was stronger creature on its own when it didn't.
That one was a 3/3 double strike, right?
Yeah. I think it was first strike, but if it was double strike, yeah, wow.
Oh no, maybe it was first strike. I think it was.
It was only first strike. It could gain double strike on occasions.
Man.
By the way,
not a fan.
On the topic of this,
we have a tangent from a tangent. That's a new
No. Sorry, I figured we were done with the previous tangent, but
I'm done with that tangent.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, a different tangent. I think on the topic of this 2 mana 1/1, I was thinking, you said like, oh, you're playing it as a 2 mana 1/1 to like, you know, stem the tide of aggro, right? What happens when your opponent attacks you with a 3/1? You block with it. And then they're either red aggro, in which case they play the +2/+0 trample first strike trick and deal you 4 to face. Or they're green aggro and they play the +1/+1 counter trample indestructible trick and deal you 3 to face and get a +1/+1 counter.
But at the cost of a card that they won't be able to use later.
And they spent their mana on turn 3. I mean, that's the life of the control mage getting beat down. Like, you know, you take a lot of trades that look bad, but sometimes it's giant growth that they have, and then it's good.
Okay, like I do think I do think the trample tricks, like, yes, you are trading a card, but I think the problem is you're taking a bit too much damage, because like the trample tricks make having 1 toughness as a blocker kind of scary, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you have anything to
that's
say
totally
about
fair.
Your build still, Benji?
No, I mean, I think I pretty much covered most of it. That it's primarily, like an artifact-based black deck, and probably should have some different cards than it does. But I like the basic idea, and I think it should be a strong archetype in general, like the black-white grind deck.
Yep.
So I went a completely different path than that. Let's make it big again.
Is this Reanimator?
Yeah, it is a Reanimator. It's like a mana value 3 or less Reanimator self-mill kind of thing, where basically I have 2 recommissions. I have the Hero of the Dunes, which I think is a really good card on Raid, because, you know, not only it reanimates something for 3 mana, which can be, let's say, Warlord Elite, a 4/4 that I can somehow mill into my graveyard with the Knowing Vermin or with the Gigamole or with the Airlift Chaplain. It also gives like most of my creatures in the deck +1/+0, which is pretty decent. Recommission is pretty dope with that, because if I milled something, I can get it for cheap and it comes back bigger. Emergency Weld is since I'm self-milling, I can get them back and recast them because they're cheap anyway, so I don't care that much about that. And there's like Rager that has also possibility of being unearthed. So I think that I went like not with making it a grindy, but with making it aggro, but with some kind of attrition elements by being able to reanimate things.
So I notice you have a Siege Veteran in your deck. Must be nice. But also...
Sierkovitz has all the hits.
Look, it's going to be that you're going to open rares and
Okay, but that specific one though.
I can guarantee you, Jason, you're going to play at least 12 decks in this format that will contain Siege Veteran.
Quick tangent. I did a draft simulation when I was warming up, and like there was a 5th pick in pack 2 Worm Coil Engine, and I was like, well, I need to discount this draft.
So anyways, that was just me giving you a hard time. But the actual thing I wanted to give you a hard time about is the copy of Loran, Disciple of History in your deck with 1 total artifact.
Hill Giant's a hell of a card.
Oh, it only does artifact. Okay, well, there you go. I thought it does artifact or creature.
Presumably you would play more, actual artifacts, but
yeah, no, definitely.
It was just kind of funny.
And especially that the artifact will probably be already done. So that would be changed to something else. Maybe the reanimation spell for 2 mana.
Yeah.
But on the draft sim note, I'm noticed when I did several draft sims in my career, and I did notice that they might have a glitch when there is a foil. The bots treat it as a trash card, and it almost wheels every single time, even if it's like a bomb mythic. And I asked the people running draft sim; they claim that it's not happening, but I've seen it so many times that I'm pretty sure that it's the case.
I just remember when, like, on draft sim for Strixhaven, it thought mascot exhibition was a common lesson.
Okay, there we go.
That's my favorite draft sim.
That's glorious.
All right, well, that's a different approach to white-black. But I think that this is going to be good, because I think that lots of archetypes are going to have the aggressive version and a sort of...
Yeah, like I think I think basically part of that is because, like, again, I don't think the synergies are that strong or like that deep. It's a lot of like there's a lot more micro synergies, I guess is what I'm saying, than macro synergies. You're not like always going to be like blue white soldiers or something. You're just going to try to put together blue and white cards that work together well, so you can like put yourself in like a more aggressive build or a flyers build or like maybe a more controlling build. A lot more flexibility that way.
Right. Whose is this one? Ooh, Swiftfoot boots. Now that gives hexproof, doesn't it?
2 mine workers. So my guess is Tajoordan.
Oh wow, I have a Swiftfoot boots. I didn't think I would put a Swiftfoot boots in. Oh yes, now I see the 2 of the berserkers, the 3-mana 3/2 hastes. Yeah, this is definitely my deck. Yeah, so this was one of the earlier decks that I built. Not super confident in it at all, and honestly, after we were talking, I think I would like to do like a much more like Aura's approach to it. But we're here now. I think that red white in general is going to be an aggressive archetype, and I think that you really want to get on board fast with like the many like the 3/1s, the 2-drop stuff like that. If you can follow up like a 2-drop with a 3/2 haste, I feel like that's going to be a lot of your punch, like where you kind of want to like get going and then follow up with some removal to kind of push through that damage, is my thought on red white. But again, this is not an archetype that I'm super strong or super invested on as far as what I think it will do early on. So if anyone else has takes or ideas, feel free to let me know.
How do you feel about red white as go wide a bit with like, the 4-mana 3/1 makes a 1/1 and then play 4 mana, your team gets +2/+0?
I am unfamiliar with the second card that you mentioned, but I think that sounds solid.
The second card is 3 in a red for an instant. It's like Mishra's something.
Mishra's Onslaught.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's choose one. Either creatures you control get +2/+0, or you make 2 1/1s. So you see a pair of goblins, except those goblins are artifacts, and also it costs 1 more.
Okay.
And don't have prowess.
I think that could totally work. I think that, this is definitely towing some middling ground. And this is like, I don't think a good successful deck that I've built here. I think you probably do want to go wider or go like taller with flyers. But I do think that red white is an aggressive deck and we've got options as far as how we want to build it.
Yeah, I'm like slightly worried that red white doesn't have great ways to punch through. Like it doesn't, like, it seems like sure, you have like creatures and tricks and removal, but it doesn't seem like you have that much synergy. And you don't have creatures that are like well stat. I feel like most things are like X1s and stuff, like they trade easily. I could be wrong. Yeah,
I think that I went sort of your way because I have the Mishra's Onslaught and I think that the Falaji Vanguard, the signpost is really strong. It's 4 mana.
Yeah, it gives +2/+0 in first strike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But my concentration is broken because I realized that Swiftfoot boots give hexproof, and now my prowess tricks deck is so much better because I can just give hexproof to my thing.
Same with my Boros Aura's deck.
Yeah, I don't know about spending a whole card on that and like 2 mana plus more mana, but
it does feel that the boots are good, right? They allow you to protect like any important piece.
I don't think so.
I don't think the hexproof is good enough. Like,
interesting.
Certainly, like without the hexproof, think of like we had in AFR or something like
Boots
red
of Speed?
for Boots of Speed, red for a equipment that equips for 1, gives +1/+0 and haste, and even that was like turned out.
Yeah, but I don't care about haste. I care about hexproof.
This allows you to use tricks without a risk. Yeah, I really like that.
So does the like what's it called? Gaia's whatever might. Not Gaia's might. That's last.
Sure, but that's a one-timer, right?
Well, yeah, but like, how many times do you need to protect your thing? Like, they only have so many removal spells.
No, I'm specifically thinking like this in what Benji suggested. So the Boros Voltron deck, because you have at least 2 double strike cards that you want to protect, and you want to give them the +2/+0 first strike. Trample.
I know there's the common 2/4 that like you have to pay 2 to give.
And there is the prototype 1/1. Oh, sure, a card.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm still skeptical.
I think it will do. It will do.
We've got big dreams here.
I mean, some dreams. Yeah, I think that white-red double strike Swiftfoot Boots might be a deck, I think.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking to the Arachnoform and Akum Hellhound team here.
Yeah. Akum Hellhound for the win. I trusted with that card quite a lot by having multiple better cards and that covered its deficiencies. All right, let's move to the next archetype.
Yep.
Blue-red.
Ooh, love it. Low curve.
Ooh, this might be my deck.
Yeah, because mine had 15 spells and 8 creatures. So
Sorry, is that 12 lands?
Yeah, but it's not a full deck.
Oh, wait.
A full deck.
Okay, so
no, it's not supposed to be. Yeah. Okay, I must have just messed up there. No, that's supposed to be 16 land deck, but this is just blue-red prowess. Like I noticed that the 3-drop 2/2 flyer is a prowess creature in blue, and the 1/3 red creature is a prowess creature with ward 2, and so that combination of getting down under them. I like the idea of the +2/+0 trample first strike with prowess in general. Monastery Swiftspear being in the set is just oh my heart, love that card. And so yeah, I think this is a super interesting deck. When I typically do well with blue-red, it's typically in most formats when the blue-red deck is more of a tempo-y deck, like in Crimson Vow and stuff like that. I tend to do horribly with blue-red when it's Prismari in Strixhaven, it's more of a controlling deck. So if I were going into this format, I'd definitely be trying to build my blue-red deck this way based on my own preferences. And I think the way that the cards lean. But
I think one thing that is instantly missing for me there is the levitating statue.
Okay. Which is what?
The 2-mana 1/1 flyer that it gets a counter whenever you cast a non-creature.
Yeah,
2 mana do nothing.
That's my thought. Yeah, I'm not.
Non-creature put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's a flying creature for 2 mana that is also a spell that triggers your prowess early in the game, and late in the game it just becomes a 6/6 flyer because you run out of your prowess threats.
Okay, yeah, I missed that completely. But it does sound like it could be good here. I think I read that card and just was oh, this is bad, but you're making a great point for it.
I think it's certainly better than Urza in this deck. I think Urza is very
I think
not what
Urza is just good on its own.
I don't even know what Urza is.
Urza is just a powerful card.
I disagree with that. You need a way to use the power stones, and this deck doesn't really have a way to use the power stones.
It does double Strongbow.
I don't think this is a deck where I would play this enchantment that that does the tormenting voice and can give haste on occasions.
Oh well, I like that card because it's a spell for prowess, and it's literally just tormenting voice. I don't know, I like tormenting voice in the last set.
Would fit perfectly in this deck. I don't see it in here.
Oh, okay. I thought I had a copy, but I must have put it in a different deck because I did put one of those cards in one of the decks. I think it's called Bitter Ordeal. But I could be.
It's called Bitter Reunion.
Okay, Bitter Reunion. But yes, I think that would be a great fit if I don't have it in here. That's a great call, Pawel.
Oh, but you have Mishra's Onslaught, so you didn't know what Mishra's Onslaught is.
Okay, yeah, apparently I did. Is this even my deck? I thought I had 16 land in it too. So,
spoiler alert, it's mine. Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, this all makes sense now. This all makes sense, but it looks so much like mine.
Yeah, it's just low curve, blue-red aggro. Yep. I mean, obviously it looks
I probably had a Mishra's Bauble, but yeah, the one Monastery Swiftspear was oh, that's got to be me. But yeah, I was I don't remember the rare, and I don't remember this Mishra's Onslaught at all, so it makes sense that it was actually Sanders.
Okay, I responding to a bit of stuff in chat. I do think that this is slightly low non-creatures, but I disagree with the sentiment that the non-creature spells are lacking and expensive. I think there's quite a few good non-creature spells removal, Excavation Explosion, Whirling Strike as a trick. You have Curate as cheap cantrip. There's also a bunch of artifacts that are cheap cantrips. I think there's definitely enough.
I think Curate's going to be great in this set.
I had Chromatic Star in my version because why wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. But you could just play Bauble for free.
Yeah, Bauble DRCing.
Exactly.
Also, one important omission, especially when you play Mishra's Onslaught. Oh no, you have the okay. I missed the Iconoclast first. Damn blind old person.
It's in there.
It's in there. I don't think that although the Mightstone's animation is going to work for this one.
You have a couple Power Stones, but
yeah, I think it'll work.
Explosion makes one. Stone Seeker makes one. Yeah.
No, maybe.
There is a mix one.
I'm just worried it might make one when it's a bit late already.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
yeah, I think that like possibly Energy Refractor can open some paths for that kind of deck, but yeah, you probably want to do 1 and 0 cost spells that do something in terms of drawing cards.
I think ideally for this deck you see 2 Iconoclasts or something. I think you need like to be a little bit lucky on the uncommon level to make it like really powerful.
Do I know? I think that maybe you can just get away with it. Like instead of playing for the white board with the Iconoclast, you can just go tall with the
I don't think you need Iconoclast.
Dwarven Forge Chanter, and you know, I mean, you're going to have decks when you're going to draft like 5 of those, and then just have fun. They can't kill all of them. Ward pay 2 life is going to prevent from killing them.
True. Yeah. All right.
Let's move to the next archetype. Black-green. That's also not mine, I can assure you that.
Well, I didn't build any skeletons, so it's not mine. It's never mine.
This one might be mine, but I've been wrong about that before, and I typically put lands in my deck, so I don't think it is mine.
Then it must be mine.
I'm not falling for your tricks again, Sander.
It does double rager. It's probably mine.
Yeah, I mean,
I really
like, it looks pretty reasonable. Just like black-green stuff.
Yeah.
The signpost uncommon looks awesome.
Yeah, and I think you have to be a bit picky about the graveyard fillers, the stuff that you mill with. I really like the Prowler. I like the Disciple of Gix to put like very specific creatures in the grave. I think that really helps this archetype a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. What I think
what's
so I've built this with not too much self mill. I have 1 Vermin, double Prowler, so I do try to like mill myself early game, but after that I'm not like milling myself too much.
I think with all the like, so with like Prowlers, Revenants, and Vermin, you probably want more like Power Stone Fractures, right? Like ways to leverage those 1/1s. Like, yeah. One thing I am like slightly skeptical about Prowler for is like you kind of need to be able to leverage the body, and like Fracture and Thraxodemon are probably the best ways to do that in black-green.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
fair.
Prowler's body, when it gets the land, you have the Spider, you will have the 2 mana removal that you sacrifice a creature. That's
I forgot Spider does it. Yeah. That's what I meant by Fracture, like Power Stone Fracture, the 2 mana removal.
Yep. No, I agree. This deck could definitely use a sack outlet or 2 more.
I think green-black in general is just kind of like dirtily cards, like kind of like it always is. Like, I don't know.
Where are green and black cards?
I think that
like,
this time they went for
if you get good black removal and good green creatures, you'll be fine.
Aggression and green-black graveyard and good stuff.
And blue-green ramp.
Oh, is it red-blue spells?
Wow. I've never heard of these archetypes before.
Blue-white flyers. They ignore the soldiers. It's just flyers.
Yeah, but I think the Power Stones give a nice spin to it all. It's
okay,
nice,
so
sub-archetype.
If we're talking about the black-green, do any of you foresee that you're going to build a deck around Thran Vigil at any stage of this format?
No.
Thran Vigil is the 2 mana enchantment. Whenever 1 or more artifacts and or creature cards leave your graveyard during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control.
I'm gonna go with no.
So what are you getting? A 1/1 counter?
For every time an artifact leaves your graveyard, yeah.
Artifact or creature, yeah.
Are there any delve spells in the format?
No.
Oh, there's
also is 1 or more.
Yeah, there is Unearth. That's one way of doing that. There is a couple of reanimation spells. There is a couple of
there's like a
return
one
creature
that
from your graveyard to your hand.
Exiles a thing, right?
So if I don't like this set after playing it like 50 or 60 drafts, I probably won't. But if I like this set and I end up drafting it like 120 times, I will definitely build around this card at one point. I think that's how it'll go for me. This will be a late stage.
I mean,
And
I'm up for building it up. I'm up for building something that revolves around it. I know it's not great, but I want to do it.
another build around that is probably a little bit more real. Symmetry Matrix. That's the 4 mana artifact. Whenever a creature with power equal to its toughness enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. That's cool.
Pay 1 is like, I don't want to pay 1.
Pay 1 is rough, but that triggers on stuff like the emergency melt and stuff.
I have a question. The 1, is it like, can you can use it as a triggered ability with a Power Stone or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not too bad then.
It's
No,
free,
no, no.
basically. It's free real estate. It's like
it's
always
free real
have,
estate.
like, 6 power
I
stones
agree.
on your board. We established that, I think.
I'm gonna live my life with 3 Power Stones in play.
Can we stop reducing the cost of things like we have a Power Stone in play?
What do you mean?
Colorless
This is a
costs
set where we
don't
have
exist.
a 6 mana 10/10 trample reach.
Sorry, I think you mean 0 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that card's free. It's colorless. You don't have to pay mana for colorless.
Free real estate.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I can't
How
believe
many
that
people?
I can't believe that they printed a card with 2 modes. One of the worst mode, where the worst mode costs more mana. But the worst mode costs 2 green mana. The better mode costs 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in all seriousness, I think that I'm going to start low on those 9 mana creatures, and I might be mistaken, but I'm try in the beginning at least to go under those things rather than to go over them.
I think you'll have success because I think those cards are the kind of thing that if they are good, you'll see them and lose to them and recognize it real fast, and then you can just adapt. But if you just go in like not caring about them, I doubt you'll have any issues.
I'm just worried, like, you know, building to having like the tent and trample thing on board, with disenchant just cruising around the decks of people in the main
That's
board.
brutal.
It might be something that, you know, you spend a lot of effort to building it. You lose board position and life while doing it, and then you reach your goal, and then they play disenchant for 2 mana, and they move on smashing your face with a 3/1 ward to 2-drop or something.
Exactly.
Or Swiftfoot Boots on a double striker with 2 Arachniforms on, and then +2/+0 and trample, as one should, obviously.
Oh, I'm so ready for this now with this Boros Auras deck.
Benji, we're first picking Swiftfoot Boots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to the go. Woo. White Flyers never looked so good.
All right. Shall we move to the next one?
Yeah.
Is there a next
I think
one?
Black Green's pretty boring.
Oh, blue-green.
Blue-green.
Oh, let's go.
Well, that's not mine again, because mine had the 9 mana artifact that makes opponents sacrifice 3 creatures and then giving me creatures for their effort. This is, I think, worth ramping for.
You can open yours if you want.
This is not mine, but it looks similar to mine again. Like, I think that blue-green is a ramp deck. I think that it's a solid spot for the Jasper Sentinel. And I think that the blue-green Signpost Uncommon reads really good. I'm excited to put it in play and see how it actually plays. And yeah, I think that Power Stones are going to be integral for blue-green to do anything. So I bet the 2 for 3 that makes a Power Stone is like a super high pick in blue-green particularly, as well as like just being one of the best green commons.
Okay, so I want to propose a thesis here as we look at this. I was just thinking about looking at this top of your mana curve, or whoever. Is it Sander or is it you, Benji, in the end? Sorry, I was thinking while we were talking.
I think it's Sander.
So I'm looking at your top end of those artifact things that die to disenchant. And this is like,
yes, a beautiful collection.
Isn't like the Argothian 2/2 fairy pixie whatever and third path savant like better payoffs for this ramp thing, because they are not targeted by cheap removal that easily. They have to waste a removal early on a card that it's like a 2/3 or a 2/2, but if you get to those 7 mana, they can become like oppressive engines that they really need to deal. So basically, like
I think 7 mana 6/5 gain 6 is quite good.
Yeah,
Okay, no,
Yeah.
this
even
card,
if
no,
they
like,
disenchanted in response or something.
okay,
yeah.
this card is good, yeah. Yeah, again, if you disenchant in response, it doesn't gain life, but this
No,
card
no,
is
it
just
does.
good.
It does.
It does. It
doesn't-
remembers the
Yes.
last.
Oh, it
if
remembers?
gets-
Oh.
Yeah, everything
No.
that says based on doesn't affect based on power. If you kill it in response with just like a disenchant or a murder or something, it'll just check the last known power. If you gave it like -5/-5 somehow, there's no way to do that in the set. I think then it would only gain you 1 life. But like,
okay, no, that's fine. But I mean, this card, I'm just like playing it in most decks that I want to get to the late game. But don't you think like those 7 mana generic mana abilities that will be good value engines in late are better than the chunky 10/10 for 10 mana?
Not completely convinced.
I think you want both.
Yeah, but I look at the deck of Sander and I look at the mask of the Jade Crafter, and I have high hopes for that particular card in those rampy decks.
I know NCAA completely.
NCAA, I mean,
card,
who is he even? Who is he?
No, I just remember like I've been trying to convince him on Mask of the Jade Crafter,
but you know that Lola and NCAA are 2 Siths. And they only deal with absolutes, and if they don't like a card, they will just not admit it for the love of it.
No, but that card is good.
I think so. I think, like, especially in this ramp deck, you're going to get a 5/5 and a 6/6 out of it.
Or you just discard it to
you have
Stern
Power
Lesson.
Stones.
Just discard it to Stern Lesson, and like you pay 7 mana for a 4/4 from your graveyard. That's like completely fair rate.
Oh yeah, that's
the beast.
Shadow Beast sighting.
Yeah, that's Shadow Beast sighting. Exactly.
And you get and you don't need lands for that because you will get. I'm not saying you get 4 Power Stones, but in this type of deck, you will get like 1 or 2 of them.
Oh, yeah, why isn't there a Falahi excavation here? This is like the perfect deck for that, right?
I say that you get 6 Power Stones to start the game.
Which one?
3 green, make 3 Power Stones, gain 3 life.
Oh, I don't think that card is good. I compared it a little to the DMU card that got 2 lands. Yeah, I think it has similar vibes for me.
But 3 life, I think, is a very important part of it.
And 3 cards. Well, Power Stones.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, it might not be best in a blue shell. It might be better in black-green as a ramp shell. But because like I think it is more definitely better than Slimefoot Survey. I think because first of all, 3 is bigger than 2, and 3 life is better than the Scry thing that Survey did. I think, and also the Power Stones are like closer to real cards in the sense that like you can sacrifice them to do things care about artifacts, and also like there's more stuff to ramp to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like DMU, you
didn't
have
enabled domain, and you could get like specific lands. It could fix you.
Yeah, but I mean,
you had to fix before 5. Like fixing is too late.
You have like 4 things in your deck that will be that you're ramping into. Like Slimefoot Survey realistically was only ramping you to your herd migration.
Yeah, herd migration, the 7/7, and Tetyo were like the 3 things I could ramp you.
I think I played Slimefoot Survey 0 times in the decks without herd migration, and I think every single time I had herd migration, I managed to somehow get the Slimefoot Survey.
I mean, like no one else
was open in the play.
Yeah. Survey with Tajova was also broken. It was good.
I never drafted. I think Tajova never bloody got it.
Oh yeah, all right.
Oh, I see. I can hear my cat just trying to steal food
but,
from the
kitchen. We'll see. Maybe that 5 mana sorcery thing turns out to be good. We'll see.
I'm cautiously optimistic about it in general.
I also don't love the Sentinel Stalwarts in this deck. Like they mostly don't do that much. Like there's not many like random artifacts to tap to them, like that aren't Power Stones, which are already making mana, so it doesn't ramp that much, and the body is like kind of inconsequential. I think
there's a different type of ramp, right? I think the Power Stones are restricted, where the Jasper Sentinel mana is
sure,
not.
But like if you look at the things you're ramping too, they're like they're the 4 like large colorless things, right?
Agreed.
I think the Stalwarts will be good in this type of deck when it plays like 4 colors, for example, like splashes for bombs or something like that.
Yeah. definitely. I agree with that. Like, just play Stalwart plus Prism, and like, you're golden. As golden as an egg.
Golden as an egg.
Ooh.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, like for example, you can tweak it into some kind of a Sultai shell when you have a couple of reanimation, like black reanimator spells, and then you play Citadel Stalwarts to have black mana to cast.
Yeah. Also, like if you have more like Ichor Wellspring, it just gets better.
Mhm.
Yeah, stuff like
True.
that. Yeah.
All right. Is that the last one that we have in front of us? Mono blue.
So
There's a mono blue and a mono black. I think this one's my singular archetype.
yes,
Yes.
the moment you've all been waiting for.
I mean, this is just like basically.
And I'm afraid we have to end it here.
Time's up.
Yeah. This is just what I was talking about in the like big picture blue. Like you can see, like there's a lot of non-creature spells here, and like the mites and animations are secretly creatures, but it's just mono blue. Play at instant speed. Like I believe all of these are commons. Oh no, I have one flow of knowledge as an uncommon. This is all commons,
And that'll go late, I think.
You could maybe play 16 lands in this. I don't know. Obviously, you're gonna have even better cards. I just wanted to sketch out a common shell here, and I have a Scrapwork Mutt and a Onulet here to demonstrate. You can just fill with some random artifacts, and like Energy Refractor will let you sometimes cast them from your graveyard.
Like, I'm really jealous because I know that you're going to play this deck, and I know that you're going to trophy with it, but this kind of deck requires some level of threat maintenance because you're not going to kill them with your 0-3. So
you're killing them with 4/4 hastes.
Those milestone animations will have to do Lord's work to get through. I mean, I'm sure it's going to work for you. It's just that I'm not sure if it's going to work for me because
I've decked myself with Sphinx of the Clear Wind.
The only way I manage my threats is by attacking with them. I
don't know. Like you just think of like Might Stan's animation as like Tolarian Terror or something.
Yeah, I think that it's a very good way of thinking about it.
Same thing, right? Exact same thing.
And you just bury them in card advantage, basically.
And there's a rock, there's a 5-mana 4/4, there's a 7-mana 6/5. There's ways to win.
All right, so since you're going to play so much on instant speed, are you going to play the dig sites in that kind of deck, or
dig site? I mean,
the Surveil. Yeah, probably.
Sure, I'd play one. I probably wouldn't play two. Like
no,
not with the flow. With a flow of knowledge,
the flow of
definitely
knowledge.
wouldn't play two, but like
but I would play one probably.
Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah, I think this looks sweet. I think that, when I started looking, I completely discarded the Falagi Archaeologist as a non-existing card. But the more I think about it, the more dope it starts looking to me. It's just basically like an impulse on a stick.
Like it has 15 hits in the stack. That's so many.
Yeah. It's going to hit.
You expect to see one.
Yeah.
And we have the
mono black
deck. Oh, the masterpiece. Corrupt Tribal.
Corrupt.
Yeah, it's basically just the black shell that we like, and then place the payoffs for being monocolored, like Corrupt, Steel Exemplar. Just super solid cards, and I think black has the commons to support a bit like this. Because this is a common and uncommon based deck. I don't even think it has 8 uncommons, to be honest. Yeah,
but it has more than one. I only have one.
No, for sure. But
that's because blue's busted.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think blue and black are super able to do this, and I think them combined. I'm currently very high on Demir as a great deck. Because I think blue and black both have super solid cards and they play well together.
I think that just generally black has the best reward for being mono in Corrupt. Like,
oh yes,
if you can swipe 2 Corrupts because no one is playing them on the board. Hello,
you're
gonna get them in pack 3. Like that's gonna be like a reward of persisting in it.
Yeah.
And I think that you'll be able to get those decks quite well played. What is this one doing? Trample.
No, it's a 5 mana 6/6 in mono.
Yeah, 5 mana 6/6 trample, which is just
okay.
good.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah, that's a good reward for being mono as well.
Yeah,
I absolutely missed that card in my evaluation.
Yeah, you also don't have to be like completely monocolored. Like it's complete. It's like if you, as long as you're like strongly leaning one color, you could like tap 2 Power Stones. Like it could be like a 2 black card.
Well, I mean, if you start with 5 Power Stones, that just basically
yeah,
right. Exactly. You play that on turn 1, and then you start beating down.
I still think that the best opening in the format, and that's because someone is going to tell that and put screens, is starting with the knowing whatever thing, knowing vermin, discarding the 4/4 for 3 mana and reanimating it with recommission, and then having a 5-drop on turn 2. That's probably the best opening in this format.
Ooh.
Without the use of Power Stones, you don't need to do that to have a 5/5 on turn 2.
I'll in my blue deck, I'll just bounce your 5/5. Good luck casting it.
You can lock it down with the enchantment.
I have disenchant. I'm playing white. Remember?
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Okay. I think that this is it. That's all she wrote.
Sports fans.
Well, yeah. Thanks everyone for surviving our endless rumblings. But we did manage to get to the skeleton archetypes in the end. At least you will get a nice glimpse of what synergies you can see in this set, and think about the review as a more of a map of what is possible in the format than evaluation of individual cards. I think both ways of looking at the set are good before it's released, but there's plenty more card reviews and not enough, I think, synergy reviews around. So hopefully you can tell people to come back for the next set when we're definitely going to repeat it. And before we wind up, I would like to thank the rest of the skeleton crew who were kind enough to join. That would include Sander Kirstens, SL Kirstens on Twitch and on Twitter. JasonILTG, if you don't remember, I love the game. That's a way of remembering it, for me at least. JasonILTG on Twitch and on Twitter. And Tajoordan, 00, also Tajoordan on Twitch and Tajoordan on Twitter. All of them amazing content creators. I would highly encourage you to give them a follow as you are here and you can look at this.